mother-in-law and the former daughter-in-law allege that the other has harassed them.
A mother's revenge on her son's ex.
She claimed I threatened to stab her in the back with a knife. It wasn't really about that. It was about my granddaughter. So I went to court to fight the visitation.
Yada, yada, yada. All ridiculousness.
Now, will this son stand up to his mom?
She's too involved in your business.
Yes.
She's a pot stirrer.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Patricia Renante is suing her former daughter-in-law, Joanne Paredes, for legal bills and harassment. Joanne is countersuing, also for legal fees and harassment.
Order. All rise. This is case number 388 on the calendar in the matter of Renante versus Paredes.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Miss Paredes, how long were you married to the plaintiff's son?
I believe a little over a year.
When were you married?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, I don't remember. I want to say 2011. I don't remember. Sorry.
You have a child together?
Yes.
How old is the child?
She's 8.
So it would be fair to say that you lived together prior to you getting married?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so how long were you together as a couple?
Before we got married, I believe 2 years.
And when were you divorced?
Well, we finalized everything in 2015.
Is this your former husband?
Yes.
With regard to, and then I'll get to both of your cases because I have complaints and a countersuit for exactly the former daughter-in-law allege that the other has harassed them, caused them to spend money for legal fees, yada, 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 all ridiculousness. So, but I want to get some of the backgrounds. Mm-hmm. So you lived together for a long time. You have an 8-year-old child. How many grandchildren does Miss Renante have?
Grandchildren, I believe 2.
You have this granddaughter.
Correct.
This is a granddaughter. And where is your other grandchild?
She lives in Georgia.
And you live?
Here in Southern California.
And Miss Paredes lives in Southern California?
Correct.
Right. So this is the only grandchild that's near you?
Correct.
Did you have a settlement agreement in your divorce decree, or was this a case tried with regard to custody and visitation and support?
Well, we went to court a few times, but in the end, we agreed.
Okay. What did you agree to with regard to custody?
We finally agreed to 50-50 on legal and physical custody.
And how does that work with an 8-year-old in school? Do you live close by to each other?
Kind of. Maybe like 12 miles apart. As far as school, from my understanding, they're late a lot.
No, not.
So
that's not what I asked you.
Oh, okay.
How is the week divided?
Oh, I see. It's 1 week on, 1 week off.
And when your daughter is with her father, does her father live with his mother?
Yes.
I live with my son. I moved into his house. I live with him.
You live together. Tell me what the problem is and why you think you have a lawsuit.
2015, she brought me to court, filed the TRO. Was granted the restraining order for both sides to stay away from each other.
Okay, just a second. So she brought you to court on a restraining order.
Yes.
She made an application for a temporary restraining order.
Yes.
Is that correct? And you were served with a temporary restraining order?
Not served necessarily. I was told through my son's lawyer that I was being served.
What were the allegations in that application for an order of protection?
She claimed I threatened to stab her in the back with a knife.
And was that case tried or settled?
Well, it wasn't tried. I think it was
a final protective order granted?
Yes, for 3 years.
And were they mutual protective orders?
Yes.
Okay, so after she filed an application for a protective order, did you file an application for a protective order?
No, because the order was a joint order.
No. Wasn't a joint order. She went first.
Correct.
She filed an application alleging that you threatened her.
Alleging.
Then either one of two things happened. Either you filed for a protective order, and both those cases are joined together, or when you go to court, because the judge is maybe a little bit lazy, maybe one person has a lawyer and agree not to annoy or harass each other for 3 years, and then we can save ourselves a lot of time and a lot of expense. So either one of two things happened. Either you filed for a protective order after she served you in 2015. Did you do that?
I did not know.
Well, then if you did not, then what happened is the second thing happened on my menu, which was maybe judge is a little bit lazy. Did you have a lawyer?
Yes.
And did her lawyer speak to you?
No. spoke to my lawyer.
So you both had lawyers.
I had a family lawyer because it was her son's family lawyer, and they already knew each other. So that's how, with our custody case, so that's how they spoke to each other. So my lawyer, my family lawyer, had to get involved in this case because of that.
Well, didn't have to because of that, because you weren't a defendant or a respondent in that case. Only she was. But you brought your lawyer with you, and the two lawyers talked to each other. Did the two lawyers also talk to the judge?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. Right. So mutual protective orders were granted.
Yes.
Great. Even though no case had been filed against you.
No.
So I still don't hear a lawsuit.
I have not talked to this woman since 2009. So the allegation that she put that I stabbed her in the back.
Let me tell you, you had a lawyer.
Correct.
If you wanted to fight that order of protection, listen to me carefully. If you wanted to fight that order of protection, you should have said to your lawyer, I want a trial.
Okay.
Not say, I consent to an order of protection.
But it wasn't really about that. It was about my granddaughter. She filed the restraining order against both me and my son separate, had two separate judges sign it, and he couldn't have my daughter in visitation because I lived in the house with him. So I went to court to fight the visitation. She wouldn't allow her daughter in his house because I lived with him, for him to see his daughter unless I wasn't there. But since I lived there, how's that going to happen?
What's your last name?
Renante, ma'am.
Stand up next to your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
She's too involved in your business.
No, I'm not. She drags me
listen
into
to
the
me.
business.
Listen to me. Listen to me. I didn't ask you a question. She's too involved in your business.
Yes.
I've been doing this business for 50 years. I met her 5 minutes ago, and I'm telling you, she's a nice lady, and you don't look like a bad guy. You're quiet. You don't look like a bad guy. She's too involved in your business.
What?
You created that. You created it because you needed help when your daughter was spending her week with you.
Negative.
I assume.
Negative. I moved my parents in 2 years ago, struggling. My dad had a stroke, and he lost his job, so I took him in, and I've been supporting them for the last 2 years.
If I were you, I would put my foot down and say, don't get involved with my business. You worked out a settlement with your former wife?
Yes.
With regard to custody?
Yes.
Is he a good father?
Yes.
See what she said?
Yes.
That was right up front. No, he did this, he did. Does he love his daughter?
Oh, yes.
Is she a good mother?
Yes.
She love her daughter?
Yes.
That's the trouble. That's the trouble. And you're going to have a problem as long as she lives with you. I assume that the protective... Trust me. I've been doing it
We get along good.
I've been doing it a long time. She's a pot stirrer.
No, I do not.
She's a pot stirrer. Do you work?
I go to school full-time.
Who supports the household?
I do.
Doing what?
I'm a vet, so I get GI Bill benefits and disability benefits from the VA. So.
Do you work?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a supervisor for a Facey medical group.
Do either one of you pay child support?
Not anymore, no.
No.
Good.
We agreed not to.
Well, he's perfectly capable. The fact that he wants to go to school, he takes care of her half the time, and you take care of her half the time. That's fine. What else?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It's not good for you to be around a grandparent, either because they're a pot stirrer.
Not a pot
Or,
stirrer.
oh,
Her daughter
oh,
comes
let
to
me tell you
because
something, Miss
she
Ferrante.
can talk to me and not talk to her mother. I'm not a pot stirrer. I stay out of stuff.
Do you have it?
And later today,
I'm trying to figure out, what were you there? You weren't a tenant, because a tenant pays rent. You weren't his girlfriend, because you say you weren't his girlfriend.
Right.
You just lived there.
We were friends.
Is that what you were, Mr. Fidlock?
Intimately, yes.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Patricia Renante says former daughter-in-law, Joanne Paredes, falsely accused her of making threats, causing her to incur legal bills.
Okay, what else?
What else? I was, at the end of September, 911 called my son. I was with my son. We were out in the car against Joanne. She had locked herself into the bathroom, my granddaughter, fearing for her life. We went to the police station, and I go, there's court orders that says I can attend school functions peaceably. Mm-hmm. And so I showed up with my son at the police station. Granddaughter, I would be there. And she said, I have a restraining order, can get rid of her.
Absolutely
so I was
right.
asked to, and I get that. I
Absolutely
understand, and I
right.
knew that was going to happen. But the other cases are September 16th was her birthday. It was his day to have her. She shows up and expects me to stay away while she shows up on his week. Thanksgiving, she did it again. She sent a text message saying, your mom better not be there because I'm going to be there. My granddaughter was in a choir for Thanksgiving at her church.
Which is my church.
Yeah, I just said your church.
Right.
Mr.
And
Renante,
so we showed up.
you got the drill?
Yeah.
Do you understand the drill?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to be
You
there
did.
for my daughter, my granddaughter.
I want to tell you something. Grandparents in this country do not have rights to see their grandchildren. Now, I used to think that that was an absolutely ridiculous law unless either parent was considered unfit to take care of them. In this country, in most jurisdictions, the parent has the right to say, this is a person who I think is good for you to be around or not. And if it's not good for you to be around a grandparent, for whatever reason, either because they're a pot stirrer.
Not a pot stirrer.
Oh,
Her daughter comes
let
to
me tell you something, Miss
she
Ferrante.
can talk to me and not talk to her mother. She feels comfortable talking to her. I stay out of stuff.
Do you have it?
Yes.
Do you understand it? And it may have to reach a point where you say to your mother and your father, is he still alive?
Yes, he is.
You have to find someplace else to live.
We're working
I'll
on
help
that,
you.
Your
I'll
Honor.
help you, but you have to find someplace else to live. You can't be involved with my business, with my ex-wife and my daughter. My ex-wife and I seem to get along just fine unless you're involved
They
in the
actually
business.
don't get
Your case
along.
is dismissed. Goodbye.
Don't get
We're done.
Your Honor, I'm out $2,500 in lawyer
Good.
fees because she took
Good.
me to court.
Absolutely perfect.
There was no reason for her to take me to court. I never threatened her. How can I threaten a person if I haven't talked to her since 2009?
Take your mother home.
That's not true.
It is true, and you know it is.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
All I want to do is see my granddaughter perform at her school, perform at the church.
She's way too much into her business.
I just want everybody to get along, and my daughter loves her Gemma.
Spend time with her as a grandmother. Leave me out of it.
I can put on my big girl panties and be an adult. I'm just hoping she can put on her big girl panties.
Only one mother. That's me.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Stewart versus Figlock. Step forward.
Samantha Stewart is suing her ex-roommate, Joseph Figlock, for destruction of property, unreturned belongings, and a false restraining order.
And then had a brief romantic relationship, but then as roommates for most of the 5 years that you lived together.
Just roommates, Your Honor.
Well, Mr. Figlock evidently doesn't think so because he says that Samantha lived with me for about 5 years. Initially, she was a friend of my girlfriend's, and she was pregnant, so I just wanted to help her out. Some years later, we had a romantic relationship, but that fizzled out last spring. Is that correct?
Yes.
I knew I read it someplace. But then you stayed on. Did you pay rent when you lived with the defendant?
When I first initially started staying with Mr. Figlock, he had told me because I had been through... Excuse me?
The answer is, did you pay rent?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever pay rent?
I had helped a few times, yes.
What does that mean?
I had given him funds when I had them available.
So what do you mean? You just hung out in his house? You just lived in his house?
No, ma'am, I was working on a case.
What case?
A case against me for my child through the state of Oregon.
Well, what does he have to do with that?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your boyfriend says that you were with him starting in February. You say you didn't move your stuff out. He says, I don't want her junk in my house. He got rid of it. You can't just leave your junk in somebody else's house for 3 months.
Real cases, real people. Says ex-roommate Joseph Figlock destroyed her property, kept her belongings, and filed a false restraining order. Joseph is countersuing for property damage.
Okay. Did you pay rent when you lived with the defendant?
No, ma'am.
So what do you mean? You just hung out in his house?
No, ma'am, I was working on a case.
What case?
A case against me for my child through the state of Oregon.
Well, what does he have to do with that?
I was best friends with his girlfriend, and he allowed me to stay so I can focus on what I needed to get done for my baby.
Did there come a time when his girlfriend left the house?
He had,
Yes or a no?
yes, ma'am.
And you stayed?
Temporarily.
For how long?
A couple months, and then I moved into a hotel for a little while, and then moved back in with Mr. Figlock.
I know this all sounds very sketchy to me. And anyway,
Yes,
this
ma'am.
is your case. You say that you ultimately moved out. You went to live with your boyfriend. I assume you're the boyfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Figlock got rid of all your stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what were you there.
Excuse me?
I'm trying to figure out what were you there. You weren't a tenant because a tenant pays rent. You weren't his girlfriend because you say you weren't his girlfriend.
Right.
You just lived there, not related to him.
We were friends.
Is that what you were, Mr. Figlock?
Intimately, yes. We were friends, good friends.
When did she move out? Give me the date.
She was moving in and out all the time. She'd be gone for a week, come back, to the point where I had enough of it, and I said for her to leave.
When was that?
I would say beginning of April of 2016.
And what did she say to you when you told her it was time for her to go?
Nothing. She would just leave or whatever, and then I wouldn't see her again for another week or two, and then...
Where was her child at this time?
The child was with her mother in Indiana.
When did she finally leave the house permanently?
May approximately 31st.
When did you leave the house permanently?
I wasn't going...
Maybe,
Yes,
maybe. Stand up. Your name, please.
John Bakke.
When did Miss Stewart move in with you? Date.
It would have been...
Think carefully and give me the date. Don't say anything.
Beginning of February.
February of 2016.
Yes, ma'am.
She lived with you full-time starting in February of 2016?
She was staying with me permanently, but hadn't...
Just a second.
Moved.
She was staying with you permanently.
Correct.
Now, what kind of financial arrangement do you have with Miss Stewart as far as paying bills? Does she work? Does she contribute anything to your household, or you take care of her?
Currently, right now, we're both living in our car.
You're living in your car?
Yes. Right now, yes.
You had it better before, Miss Stewart. When did you start to live in your car? This is what your lawsuit says. Your lawsuit says that Mr. Figlock disposed of $5,000 worth of your property. On what date do you allege he disposed of $5,000 worth of your property? Give me the month.
Yes, May.
Month, May. Well, as far as your boyfriend is concerned, and he's not a liar, is he? You were living with him February, March, and April. That's 3 months. How long do you expect him to store your stuff?
No, ma'am, I was staying there. I hadn't moved out yet.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Your boyfriend says that you were with him starting in February. You say you didn't move your stuff out. He says, I don't want her junk in my house.
Your
He
Honor.
got rid of it.
He destroyed it.
I don't care. You can't just leave your junk in somebody else's house for 3 months while you're living with your boyfriend. You can't just leave your junk there.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, you want to tell me what happened when she broke your door, or you really don't want to be bothered with it?
I'd like to mention it that, the police were called 3 times, and...
What month?
Let's see, it started in April, and then ended, the last time was in May.
So April and...
Attempted to throw out the stuff, and the police showed up, and I told them that she had a key, and I work nights, so she could come anytime and get her stuff. And they let me go 3 times. The second time, she was yelling at me or something, and so I walked away, which the police said was okay. And when I walked back, she was gone, but the door was kicked out from the inside out. So I told the policeman about it, and he just said, oh, your landlord will be very angry. And I said, yes.
Okay. Mr. Figlock, has she bothered you in the last 3 months?
Bothered me?
Yeah.
No.
Come to your home, called you, anything in the last 3 months?
No. I mean, yes.
Ms. Stewart, you have no case against him. Your case is dismissed. We're done. Thank you.
Why does that excuse me? Step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
This is traumatic to me because I've been through so much.
I think it was fair.
Because I wouldn't have sex with him. That's what it boils down to.
I was never angry because she wouldn't sleep with me. She slept with me all the time.
He went to jail, got out, and out of retaliation, he tried to get a restraining order against me.
That's baloney.
He wasn't supposed to be there when I was allowed to go get what property he didn't destroy, and it was gone.
Who knows? She's crazy.
I don't trust people.
I'm happy it's all over.
Care workers' revenge?
What did you tell CPS when you called?
That a table had failed on my baby and she failed to report it.
You didn't feel as if your child was endangered. You took her back there the next day.
And a pest problem
She had bugs.
She had bugs.
Yes, ma'am.
that didn't always bug her.
I'm just being honest with you.
Why weren't you honest before you got fired?
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Evelyn Williams is suing her former employer, daycare owner Patricia Rushing, and her employee, Latoya Johnson, for unpaid wages, child endangerment, and property damage.
Order. All rise. It's case number 419 on the calendar, no matter Williams versus Rushing Johnson. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Which one of you two ladies is Miss Rushing?
Me.
Miss Johnson, I would like you to sit down for a second. I'll get to your part of the case in a minute. I don't like it to be confusing. Miss Williams, Miss Rushing played a good Samaritan for you.
Yes, ma'am.
You and your daughter were homeless.
Yes.
She offered you a place.
Yes.
She offered you some money. And when did she do all this for you?
In August, the beginning of August, or the end of August.
Well, tell me when it was, the beginning of August or the end of August?
I believe it was the end of August, ma'am.
And where did you come back from?
I was working for another company.
So how did you become homeless?
I was staying in the subsidized housing. It's called based off your income. I gave that apartment up due to safety issues, and I didn't want the state to take my daughter. So it was always shooting, gun violence down there. So me and Evelyn needed a place to stay. I asked Miss Dee, could she help me find somewhere? She referred me to Miss Rushing. Miss Rushing was my boss at the time, so she volunteered $190 to my landlord. I have paperwork also.
So she was good to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you're suing her for $5,000?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now you're going to tell me what you're suing her for.
I'm suing Patricia Rushing for unpaid wages.
Okay. How much unpaid wages?
She owes me $280 in unpaid wages.
Just a minute. $280.
Yes, ma'am.
Did she ever make a loan to you? Give you money?
$190. Yes, ma'am.
$190.
Yes.
Did you ever pay her back?
Yes, she took it out of my check. She have control over my check.
During what period of time?
The next month.
Okay. So she owes you $280 for what period of time?
I worked from October 11. I worked 35 hours. I worked 5 hours a day, Monday through Friday.
Okay. Check your records, because this is going to be an easy case. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did she work from the 11th of October to the 17th?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
Did you pay her for that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So $280.
It's actually $268. Here's the check right here, $69, the actual check. That's what tax took it out, Your Honor. I didn't. Her check, the net check with the pay stub.
But that's the check that wasn't paid?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. And it's still a valid check. I turn it over to you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So there are your wages. Child endangerment. Now, tell me the story about child endangerment.
Okay, I started Gates Barbecue October 15th. She asked me to get a second job. Again, I was only working 5 hours a day for her.
Okay, so you got a second job, and according to what I read, you were late coming into
30
her
minutes.
job.
Yes, ma'am.
And then got into an argument, and she fired you.
She fired me.
Okay. And you left.
Yes.
But you left your daughter in the daycare.
No, I took my daughter with me. The state is still paying her. It happened on a Thursday. So that Friday, I had to be back at Gates Barbecue in the morning. So since the state is still paying her, I took...
Friday.
Yes, ma'am.
You had no place for your daughter.
Right.
Even though this didn't end well.
Right.
So you took her back.
Yes.
To your
because it wasn't
daycare.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Was there a problem with that?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the problem?
That morning when I got to work, that night, if I can go back, I did not fire her, Judge Judy. So when I found out that day when I got to work, CPS was out there. She had filed a false claim on my daycare that night. Yes, ma'am.
You mean the day that you fired her?
I did not fire her.
Well, let's say she...
That night, yes, ma'am, when she got off the phone, she called
CPS.
CPS. That morning, they came to the daycare and spent about 6 hours out there investigating false allegations.
Just a second. The night that you say, the day she fired you.
Yes, ma'am.
You said she fired you
yes,
for coming in late. Did you make a report to CPS?
No, ma'am. I made a report to CPS the day that she dropped Evelyn off at Gates Barbecue. And I made
Just a second.
2 calls that day. I made one in front of my boss, and I made one once I got home that night. I had to do it in front of my boss because she came up there in front of...
On what date did CPS...
The claim was made on October the 20th, the one that she filed. And that's the reason I took her daughter to...
So it was made the same day?
It was made the day that she say I fired her.
And then you brought her daughter back to where she was working?
After you told her... Yes, ma'am.
The reason you brought her back was because CPS had come to your facility?
Yes, ma'am. I did it. She eventually admitted to it. I knew who had did it. We were so dangerous, all these lies she told. Why would you leave your daughter there?
Got it. Now I'd like to see the basis of your claim. Okay, so you brought her daughter back, and you have a video to show me the endangerment.
I have a video of my boss stating that they can't.
No, I don't do that.
Okay.
No. I will see what you say was child endangerment.
Right.
You don't have that.
I don't have a video
Then you
of
don't
her.
have it, and you didn't witness it.
No, I have a witness, and then I also have my manager.
Did you understand what I said? I'm taking your manager's video telling me what she saw.
Yes, ma'am.
I can't ask her questions.
Okay, and I also have a witness. She was there. She was on break of the time of the incident. She was outside.
Okay. Stand up and tell me your name.
My name is Callie Banks.
Okay, I'd like you to tell me what you saw.
I was at my
and
job.
This would be on the 20th?
Yes, the 28th.
Jump!
I'm sorry.
I'm not asking you anything.
Yes, ma'am.
This would be on the 20th?
No, ma'am, the 28th of October.
28th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. On the 28th of October, you're going to tell me what you saw.
I was outside on break. 2 cars had pulled in. 2 ladies got out the car, went inside the job. The 2 ladies came back outside. There was a lady outside in pajamas like this. I see Miss Evelyn come outside her job. The lady that had the pajamas on, she grabbed the baby out to get your baby. So my supervisor came outside. She went over and put her hand underneath the baby's butt and on her baby's back because the baby has a weak spine.
How do you know that?
I've been around the baby before.
How have you been around the baby before?
I had babysitted her daughter before.
How many times?
About 2 or 3 times.
About 2 or 3 times. And your job at her job is what?
I'm a cashier.
Did she get the job there because of you?
No, ma'am.
If you babysat for her before, you babysat for her before she came to work at the restaurant?
It was after.
But she had just started that job.
Mm-hmm.
So you became friends afterwards?
Yeah, pretty much.
Now you can sit down. The last day of her school, of the child's school, was on what date?
October the 21st, the day after she filed the claim.
October the 21st
Yes,
is
ma'am.
when you brought her back?
Yes, ma'am.
Not the 28th?
Yes, ma'am.
You're off by about a week?
What? It was the day after you filed the claim.
You're off by about a week. Okay, she owes you your wages. Your wages are $280. Now, that takes care of your business, and you've gotten your $280 so that you two are now square.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you can stand up.
What about my counterclaim?
Just a second. You two are now square. So you can stand up, move in. Now, you have a lawsuit against her. You say that she damaged your property.
Yes, ma'am.
This young lady whose last name is?
Johnson. She busted out my window because...
Don't tell me because.
I had called the police on Patricia.
You called the police?
For unpaid wages on Patricia.
Right.
The police...
On what date?
This was 10/24.
So you called the police, and you said she didn't pay me my wages. The police would have told you this is a civil matter.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and?
I was on my way downtown following the police.
What were you following the police for?
To go to the new headquarters that they built downtown.
For what reason?
To file a restraining order and a police report about unpaid wages. They was going to show me how to take care of everything. I never done this before.
The police were going to tell you
They was escorting me downtown to the building.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I get to the headquarters, my phone ring. The officers asked me, could I wait to answer it? But I see it's Toya calling my phone. I say, what Toya? I'm downtown. You not downtown? Answer your door. I hear boom, boom, boom. I'm like, Toya, get away from my door. I'm not at home. She was like, open this door. Next thing I hear is my window shatter. So then I tell the police, so if I go home and something happened to me, then what's next? She tell me, well, you ain't thinking about that when we get fired and the daycare gets shut down. I said, Gates is hiring and our slogan is, hi, may I help you? I said, well, you better learn it. And then that was it.
Judge Judy.
And when did you first see those bugs?
I don't know what exact month, Your Honor. But I always see roaches in there, and she tell me she gonna take care of them. I'm just being honest with you.
Why weren't you honest before you got fired?
And later today.
Now that I understand that this paraffin was supposed to go on your hands, and I assume that you weren't treated in the hospital or doctor for this burn that you're complaining about. Is that correct?
Correct.
Because now I'm going to rule in his favor because you're annoying.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Evelyn Williams says her former employer, Patricia Rushing, and her employee, LaToya Johnson, owe for wages, child endangerment, and property damage. Patricia is countersuing for a false CPS report.
Okay, so you worked with her
yes,
on Cross Your Arms. Now, You have your phone?
Yes,
Your phone log would log as to whether or not you called the plaintiff on the 24th of October. Did you call the plaintiff on the 24th of October?
No, ma'am.
Look at your phone. Does your phone have a log of that phone call coming into your phone on the 24th of October?
I didn't even have this phone on October 24th. This is a new phone, matter of fact. But yes, I'm pretty sure my phone records show that Toya, and I have her phone number.
This is the day that that happened a couple of months ago.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you knew you were coming here, she says she didn't call you. You said she calls you. It's your proof. Your proof.
Right.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Your case is dismissed as against her. You can sit down. She owes you $280. We've taken care of that. Now we have a counterclaim. So the genesis of the counterclaim really is about a vindictive call to CPS,
right,
which caused an investigation, which caused, according to her, damage. Now, so I'm going to you, Miss Williams.
Yes, ma'am.
You worked at the daycare center.
Yes.
And you worked there until October.
Yes, ma'am.
And you worked there for 2 years or for a year and a half prior to that.
Right.
In what year?
I don't know what exact year I started working for her, but I know I ended working for her in 2016.
I know that you ended working for her. I'm trying to figure out how long you worked for her.
I don't know the exact date, ma'am.
Well, I don't know either. The phone call that you made to CPS was on, according to you, the 20th, right?
No, I hotlined her the day that she brought my daughter to Gates Barbecue.
Well, so that's the 21st. We all agree that it was the 21st, except your witness who said it was a week later. So that's the 21st. So now I want you to tell me, what did you tell CPS when you called?
I let CPS know that Patricia had dropped my daughter off, and I'm hotlining her now in front of my boss. Then the next time when I got home, baby, and she failed to report it, I couldn't report it.
Just a second. That a table fell on a baby.
Yes.
In what month?
It was the same month. It had happened that same month.
In October?
Yes, ma'am.
And what else? And what else?
She had bugs.
She had bugs?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of bugs?
She had bugs in the water fountain, and she had bugs when you open the refrigerator and get your lunch out of there.
Okay. And when did you first see those bugs?
Don't know what exact month, Your Honor. But I always see roaches in there, and she tell me she gonna take care of them, and then somebody come with this little weak spray, and they come out even more. I'm just being honest with you.
Why weren't you honest before you got fired? Listen to me.
Honest.
Why weren't you honest if you were so concerned about these things that you saw?
I asked her, and I showed her.
Why weren't you concerned before you got fired? They're children.
I did. I let her know every day. She said she was going to take care of it. She never did. She got all this money. Every time I see her, she pulling up in something new. But she never take care of the bugs. She said that's something small. They going to come in and spray, but they didn't get rid of them. They didn't disappear.
I don't believe, this is what's called the misuse of certain powers that we give ordinary citizens to report events that they see that endanger children. And some miserable people take up the time of workers because using as a real exposure of something that may in fact endanger children, you didn't feel as if your child was endangered. You took her back there the next day. After she fired you, you took her back there the next day.
My baby wasn't in the room with the roaches. The roaches is in the kitchen.
Okay. Your claim is dismissed. Judgment on the counterclaim for $1,500 for maliciously filing a report with CPS. We're done. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I really did care about her and her child because she was homeless.
She came here with all this false information. She didn't have all her evidence or nothing.
And the fact that she would do this and then come here and tell all those lies. I love Judge Judy. Judge Judy is the bomb.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Pears versus Nguyen. Step forward.
Adam Pears is suing nail salon owner Bao Nguyen for damaging his jeans during a manicure.
All right, Mr. Pears, some time ago, you went into the defendant's salon to have a mani and a pedi.
Yes.
And when you were getting your manicure, I gather that what they also did was to take off some hair on your hands?
No, Your Honor. It wasn't for the... So I work out and have calluses all over. It was just to soften the skin. So there are these mitts.
Okay, so it's paraffin.
Yeah.
Take off hair.
It's hot. It's supposed to be warm, but
hot.
not too hot. It's not supposed to be.
Just a second.
Sorry.
They put it on your hands as a procedure to leave it on to soften whatever is on your hands. It's not like a wax. Have you ever had a wax?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you know what that is.
Yes.
That hurts. That's a very hot wax that
Yes.
they put on. They let hard and they rip it off.
Yes, Your Honor.
Unpleasant. But that's not this. This is a paraffin treatment. Now I understand.
Right.
And it is your claim, sir, that the esthetician who was doing that for you was clumsy and spilled some wax on your jeans.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Grow up.
Your Honor.
Get a life. There's nothing there. You can't see it now.
I can't
and they're
see
your
it.
jeans.
Your Honor, it's
I
right
just
here.
I just looked at it.
If the way that they treated the jeans changed the way that the jeans fit, it's
Yeah.
their
If I were
$300
taller,
jeans.
I would be a runway model.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Adam Pears is suing nail salon owner Bao Nguyen for damaging his jeans during a manicure.
Now, it is your claim, sir, that the esthetician was clumsy and spilled some wax on your jeans.
That's not true, Your
that
Honor.
went through and it burned you. That's what your case is about. You want $600. Now, I assume those are the jeans. Are those the jeans?
Yeah, these are the jeans. Sure.
Just to answer my question. Don't think of where I'm going. Don't think of the... Just answer the question. Those are the jeans.
These
Now,
are the jeans.
the defendant says that it was your fault. You moved around and knocked over this paraffin. The truth of the matter is...
That's true, Your Honor.
Oh, be quiet. Truth of the matter is, I don't care. Now that I understand that this paraffin was supposed to go on your hands, and I assume that you weren't treated at any hospital or doctor for this burn that you're complaining about. Is that correct?
You're right.
Right.
You're right.
Your
Because
Honor,
now I'm going to rule in his favor because you're annoying.
I apologize.
Because if wax fell on you, it was supposed to be on your skin. It was supposed to be someplace. So if it fell on your jeans, it was supposed to be on your skin. You have no proof of injury. You have no proof of injury, is that right?
Correct.
Good. So let's talk about the jeans. Now, those are the jeans that got splattered with wax.
Yes,
Yeah,
Your
I
Honor.
see the jeans. How did you get the jeans in your possession, Mr. Nagayan?
So Adam called it, made a remark about the incident, but we...
Just answer my question.
He
Did he
came by the
bring them
salon
in? He came by the salon.
Yes.
Is this what you're talking about?
Just one little spot.
I'm not asking you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, is this what you're talking about?
I'm not sure, Your Honor.
Would you ask him to point to me what he's complaining about?
Your Honor, it looks like they've cleaned these jeans.
What?
Your Honor, this is the spot that I was...
That was the spot that you were
this is the
complaining
spot,
about.
But it was much worse before.
But
so-
it's not worse now.
Well, the problem is with the fabric, the fits might not be the same. So
Bye. We're done.
If
The
they're-
case is dismissed. It's over. Grow up. Get a life. Grow up.
Your Honor,
Get a life. There's
I mean,
nothing there.
well-
if it's not there, if you can't see it now,
I can't
and they're
see
your
it.
jeans.
Your Honor, it's
I
right
just
here.
looked at it. Goodbye.
Oh,
We're done.
Your Honor.
Goodbye. We're finished.
May I just say, if the jeans...
Goodbye. We're finished.
If the way that they treated the jeans changed the way that these jeans fit, it's their $300
If I were taller,
jeans.
I would be a runway model. We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She spilled the wax on the jeans.
No, I did.
He said that he would cover the cost of the jeans multiple times.
I tried to be very reasonable, offer to take the jeans to professional clean.
I guess I should just go to the salon naked if I'm going to get a mani and pedi so people don't ruin my clothes.
Because we want to make every customer happy.
Fed up, waiting for his coworker to pay up.
I sent him a text message saying, I'm going to take you to small claims on this matter then.
Then his own paycheck stopped.
I filed a protection order the day after I received the small claims court order.
Making it impossible for him to go to work.
It was in my belief that he was going to continue to harass me while I was at work.
I don't care what you believe. You abuse the system.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Scott Sylvester is suing his former roommate and coworker, 23-year-old Joshua Sumrow, for the return of rent and security deposit and lost wages.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 366 on the calendar in the matter of Sylvester versus. You may be seated.
Mr. Sylvester, you and the defendant worked together.
Yes, Your Honor.
Where did you work?
We worked at Kazuki Ramen. It's a ramen house, a restaurant.
How long had you been working there?
We both worked there for about 5 months. I was there in the opening, so was he. So we opened the restaurant together, basically.
Did you know each other before you opened the restaurant?
No, Your Honor.
And there came a time when you decided to room together. Was that a permanent arrangement for you or a temporary arrangement for you?
Definitely temporary. It was kind of more of a personal favor. The apartment was far away from downtown, and at the time I wasn't driving, so he pretty much just asked me, could you please, because we went and saw the place together, the landlord liked me, they're like, could you please just move in for a couple of months until you find another arrangement, which I did allow, but I didn't want to be on the lease, and I wanted to pay less than him because I knew I wouldn't be there as frequently.
Were you on the lease?
No.
Only you were on the lease?
That's correct.
Okay. Did you put down security deposit?
Yes.
How much?
$350.
And you moved out after a couple of months?
Just 1 month, really.
2 months.
I thought it was 2 months.
2 months.
Did you give him his security deposit back?
I returned $250 of his security deposit back. And
why?
I withheld $100 for outstanding bills from the months that he had lived there.
I've never seen a dollar from
Just
that.
a second.
Sorry.
What bills?
I have a garbage bill, a cable bill, and an electric bill.
And how much do all of those bills add up to together?
They totaled $200.
Show those to the plaintiff, please, because we're going to get to the crux of this case in a minute.
The previous payment is here, and then this is the actual bill from that time
Current
period.
bill.
Yeah, no, I've seen the bills. I paid him in cash for these bills. I never saw $1 from the deposit. It was $350. I also helped him out for
Just a second.
You want these?
No, I don't want them at all. I'm not getting involved with that. There's one issue in this case, and I'm not getting involved with your $250 and $350 because it was my understanding from reading your complaint, sir, that he did give you some money back from the...
No, I never received $1 from the deposit or the rent that's owed. Basically, I moved out early September with the agreement that when his new roommate moved in, I would receive the money for that rent and also the deposit.
Do you have proof that you returned any part of the deposit to him?
No, everything was dealt with in cash.
Okay. Now, you moved out on what date, sir?
It was like September 2nd, between the 2nd
Great.
and the 5th.
Now, so I'm not getting involved in it because if you actually believed that he owed you money and there was so much animus, late October, you wouldn't have gone to his house for a house party, which is really the crux of this case, which is the only part of it that I'm dealing with. So let's understand that. If you felt that he owed you prorated rent or some money for security deposit, when you were invited out for a party, I would not have gone if I was in an acrimonious situation with somebody. So you went to a party at his house in October.
Yes.
Now I want you to tell me what happened when you went to the party in October, because that's what this case is about.
When I went to the party in October, we discussed the deposit and the monies owed. And as you mentioned, I did have some resentment.
You shouldn't have gone.
Yeah, I really shouldn't have gone.
Right.
Guaranteed.
Okay.
You know, he basically got violent with me about it. He pushed me outside the door and then
Told you
locked
to
the
leave.
door. Yeah.
Unlock the door.
He locked the door with my
Okay.
keys inside, my
Great.
car keys inside. So.
And keep going.
Then I had to pay for a cab to get home.
And
then the next day, he said a bunch of crazy things to our manager that we work for.
I don't know whether he did or not. That's hearsay.
Either way, though.
Because there's nobody here.
Either way, I sent him a text message saying, I'm going to take you to small claims on this matter then. I
So
gave him the small
I'd like
claims
to
paperwork.
see that text.
I don't have the text with me, but I do have the small claims paperwork that I filed.
Listen to me carefully.
Yes.
I want to see the text where you said to him, I'm going to small claims court. You say you have a text. Use your phone right there.
Yeah, I do not have the text, unfortunately. This is a new phone.
You know how many times I hear people, how did you get a new phone when you lost your job? What you're suing for here is lost wages. When did you get a new phone?
It was a very affordable phone, Your Honors. I do have the small claims paperwork.
Just a second. When I'm satisfied, then I'm going to throw you both out.
Yes, Your Honor.
Great. Good. Now, so you don't have the text.
No.
And you said if I don't get satisfaction, according to you, which you don't have because you bought a new phone, you said I'm going to take you to small claims court. And you filed a small claims case on what date?
The small claims was filed on October 31st.
On what date were you served with the small claims case?
I was served that Monday, I believe.
By whom?
His mother.
Where?
She came behind the bar while I was at work.
And at that time, you were both still working at the same restaurant?
That is correct.
Were you working the same shift?
No.
What shift were you working?
I was working my afternoon shift, so I was working the 4:30 to close shift.
And what shift were you working, sir?
I did not work that day, the 31st.
What shift did you usually work?
I worked the same shifts as Josh.
So then you were both working the same shift, except for the day you was allegedly served with a small claims case.
Yeah.
Just answer my questions.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now I would like to see the small claims case.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, I amended the order to include the lost wages after he filed a restraining order to keep me from work.
Just a second. But you left things out when you filed an amended complaint. First claim you asked for, not that I'm getting involved in it, prorated rent, a loan, and your possessions, and your deposit. The second case you filed was deposit, rent, and lost wages. So I assume that you got your loan back and your possessions back.
No, I didn't. I've not gotten my
So you just made a mistake.
Yeah, I just amended
Just
the
a
order.
mistake. All right. Now, the whole thrust of this case, and the only part that I will hear,
Yes, ma'am.
so that's nonsense, is that at some point you filed a protective order against him.
That is correct.
On what date?
I filed a protection order the day after I received the small claims court.
Basically in response. Yeah.
Don't speak. You filed it the day after.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. And I would like to see the date that you filed it and the allegations that you make.
Okay, I have the petition, and I also have the temporary order, if you'd like.
Let's see the petition. To explain to me the reason that you filed this protective order a day after you were served with a small claims case.
So the incident that occurred at my house, as it states in the petition, he was sexually harassing a house guest. Upon being asked to stop, he berated her using...
Who cares?
Okay. I kicked him out.
Who cares?
I kicked him out. I didn't feel the need to call the police because he was
That's fine.
intoxicated. I wanted the matter to end there. He made it clear that he was not going to end the matter
No,
there.
don't just say. Don't tell me what he made clear.
Yes,
He was
ma'am.
bothering somebody at your party. That person didn't file a protective order against him. You did. And I want you to tell me what he did that inspired you after you were served with a small claim case to file a protective order.
He made it clear that...
No, not clear. That is an assumption, sir, based upon facts, which you are going to tell me, and the facts had better be consistent with what you wrote in your answer, which you probably don't remember.
In my petition order?
No, in my case.
Okay.
In my case. So I want you to tell me specifically what Mr. Sylvester said or did to you that inspired you to file for a protective order the day after you were served with a small claims case.
The day after I was served with you to harass me while I was at work, and therefore I filed the protection order.
I want to tell you something. You abuse the system. I don't care what you believe. Your mother cares what you believe. Maybe your sister cares what you believe. Maybe your mother cares how you feel. Maybe your sister cares how you feel. The law doesn't give a rat's ass how you feel. The law believes in facts. And so far, I've asked you 3 times to give me something specific that Mr. Sylvester said or did to you that inspired you to file for a protective order against him, excluding him from your workplace, because that's what you asked for.
Aside...
Excluding him from your workplace. And I guarantee you, on Bird's life, that you did not tell the judge before whom you were requesting this protective order that you worked in the same place.
I made it very clear.
Oh, I don't believe that.
I made it very clear
I don't
to the
believe
judge.
that, because then you're telling me that the judge was a moron.
The judge suspended it. He didn't issue a restraining. He didn't issue a permanent restraining order.
No. You asked for. That's not what I'm saying to you, sir. Let's make ourselves protective order on an emergency basis, excluding him from your workplace.
That's correct.
And the judge granted that application on an emergency basis, therefore making it impossible for him to go to work. And I guarantee you that you didn't tell that judge who granted the temporary restraining order based on this nonsense that he was a fellow worker along with you. You may have told the judge who heard the final order of protection and denied it because you were not granted a final order of protection, right?
No, but I disclosed his working location when the judge asked where the perfect place for service would be, service of the actual document.
I think that you overstepped it and you abused the system and you abused him. Now, if you felt threatened, which I think you did not, was this, by the way, this young woman that he was making come-ons to at the party, was this somebody that you knew well? And give me the first name.
Her name was Van Lynn, and yes, it is somebody that I know well.
Is it somebody that you were dating?
You can say that.
That's either a yes or a no.
Yes, we were dating.
Right.
Casually.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
If I had been first, you bet your bottom dollar I would have been there.
Well, that's too bad. You're not losing so far, right? Is there anything that I did? I'm not buying her story.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Scott Sylvester says former roommate Joshua Sumrow owes for the return of rent and security deposit and lost wages.
So while I'm not getting involved with the rest of this nonsense, I am awarding him money for lost wages.
Okay.
Because I think that your actions not only abuse me as part of a system, because you used it in retaliation. Your girlfriend didn't feel threatened enough to go and seek a protective order. And you never sought a protective order before you were served with a small claims case. And this was after the party.
It's for the same...
Just a second. We're done. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. We're finished. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Nobody wanted to live with him. He's a slob.
When I woke up to him cleaning my house...
He's always broke, and it's red flags.
And having random people that I'd never met before coming to view the house.
So the few people that I did bring by, they were like, this is disgusting.
Before 30 days notice was given, yeah, it made my life kind of difficult.
And I'm definitely not doing this. So it was a trouble to get that spot.
Not going to do it again.
A lot of child activity, and I'm just glad to have some of my wages back.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Rader versus Walker. Step forward, please.
Alana Rader is suing Timothy Walker for stealing the contents of her apartment.
Miss Rader, in April of this year, you left some property in some sort of women's residence.
Yeah.
You moved into an apartment. That property was, I gather, stored in some sort of a garage. You didn't pay any money for the storage.
No.
And you didn't go back to the property for 5 months. Now, Mr. Walker rented that property, which included the garage, correct?
Correct.
And he says that he got rid of all the stuff because he was paying rent on this property and didn't want your stuff in a place where he was paying rent, right?
Correct.
Now, when you rented the property, sir, who did you rent it from?
Landlord lived across the street.
Tell me what kind of residence it is.
It's a transitional housing for women.
Now, you rented it for what purpose?
To continue providing services for women.
Continue the business.
Correct.
So you run a business there.
Correct.
Now, you found certain property in the garage, correct?
Correct.
What property was in the garage? Was there any furniture in the garage?
It was pieces of furniture.
Like what?
Couches.
Okay. How many couches were there?
I believe it was 2 sets.
Did you take either of those 2 sets of furniture into the house?
No, ma'am.
Did you take any furniture from the garage into the house?
No, ma'am.
What did you do with all the property that was in the garage?
I had it removed from the property.
When?
November 1st.
When you started paying rent?
Correct.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
On November 1st in the morning, I called him and said, I'm on my way over to pick up my things.
I think that that's a bit of a scam.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Alana Rader claims Timothy Walker stole nearly all her belongings.
I'm listening.
Okay, I had actually called Mr. Walker on October 21st to tell him that I would be getting my things on November 1st because I had through November 1st.
How did you have through November 1st?
Because he was then moving in.
No, he was moving in on November 1st.
Yes.
So you had to get your things out of there by October 31st.
That isn't what I was told.
Well, I don't care what you were told. He was paying rent as of stuff out. If you called him October 21st, why didn't you get your stuff out October 22nd?
Well, he said fine at that point in time.
Did you tell her fine?
No, ma'am.
What did you tell her?
I notified the previous owner to let everybody know as of November 1st, get in contact with anybody, because I don't know who was living there prior to me, and to get their stuff out of there.
Did you ever speak to her?
I don't recall, ma'am.
I do. It was on October 31st.
On what?
21st.
On October 21st?
Yes.
Well, why didn't you get your stuff out? He was paying rent as of November 1st. You hadn't been there April, May, June, July, August, September, and October, 7 months.
Yes.
That your junk was there without paying any storage fee, without doing anything, without contacting anybody.
Right.
He doesn't have to store your stuff.
No,
Mrs.
absolutely not.
Then you
And
should have gotten your stuff out October 31st.
Well, I was told through, and that's a key word, through November 1st. So on November 1st in the morning, I called him and said, I'm on my way over to pick up my things.
I think that that's a bit of a scam. If you could go over through November 1st, you could have gone up to October 31st. What's the magic of November 1st after 7 months?
Because I had been told that I needed to get my things out by November 1st.
You're not getting any money. That's not happening. That was your problem. He's not responsible for your stuff. He's paying rent.
Yes.
And you're not. And he doesn't have to look at your junk in the garage that you've left there, abandoned for 7 months without paying any storage. He doesn't have to pay rent, which is how much for the property?
$2,500.
He doesn't have to pay $2,500 a month starting November 1st. Not through November 1st, starting November 1st.
If I had been aware that I was supposed to be out by October 31st, you bet your bottom dollar I would have been there with bells on.
Well, that's too bad. But you're not losing so far, right? Is there anything that you're not losing?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
I'm not buying her story because how old are you?
In my 60s.
You're in your 60s and you've had apartments?
Yes.
Yes. And when you start renting an apartment, if you start the 1st of the month, you move in on the 1st of the month, then it's yours.
Yes.
It doesn't belong to the previous tenant until midnight on the 1st of the month.
That's right. No. So I could have come at 1 a.m. on November 1st and I would have been within my legal rights.
Goodbye. We're done. I'm done with you.
No, Judge, liar and a thief.
You're a hustler.
And I'm a what?
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Because this man lied to me and said that all of my things were on the curb. He told me that November 1st.
Thought it was perfect. Fair.
I was just calling him to tell him that I was on my way, which I was.
I took possession of the property. Was partially furnished.
But he said, no, all of your things are being carried away in this big truck even as we speak. I was absolutely devastated.
She's suing the wrong person.
But you can bet your bottom dollar, Mr. Walker, we're going to see each other again.
For that split second, you took your eyes off the road.
Yes, ma'am.
A driver collides with a kid.
The little girl just pops out of nowhere.
And she broke her
tibia in her knee.
She's lucky she wasn't killed.
But where were her parents?
Who do you think is at fault?
I believe he is.
And what about you? And your wife? You didn't do what you were supposed to do, which is watch your child.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin.
Jordan and Arisha Green are suing motorist 23-year-old Anthony Smith for hitting their daughter while she was crossing the street.
Order. All rise. Now it's case number 400 on the calendar in the matter of Green versus Smith.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. and Mrs. Green, this is your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And she was hit while playing on your watch by a car driven by the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
Your initial claim was for her medical bills. Then I see that you revised your claim because her medical bills were covered.
Yes, ma'am.
And now what you're suing for is pain and suffering and lost wages. Yours, not hers. She doesn't work.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me when this accident happened.
April 4th, 2016.
What time?
It was approximately 4-ish, 5-ish in the afternoon.
What I gather from reading these papers, there was some sort of a barbecue or something going on in the neighborhood, that there were lots of people outside. What was it?
Yes, ma'am. It was spring break. The children were out of school for the week, so they were outside playing, and a neighbor of mine was having like a cookout in their front yard.
Were both you and your wife at home?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any other children?
He is 4. He's her younger brother.
How old are you?
7.
Did you actually see when your daughter was hit by the car?
No, ma'am, not the moment she was struck.
So at the time she was hit, neither of you were watching her?
Correct.
What kind of car were you driving, sir?
2006 Volvo S60.
And on April 4th of 2016, was your car insured?
Yes, ma'am.
So there was insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
And we agree on that?
Yes, ma'am.
And I assume that at some point, and I'm going to get to the accident in a moment, but I assume at some point that the two of you consulted an attorney.
Yes, ma'am.
On what date did you consult an attorney?
It was the next day, on the 5th.
We're going to get back to that in a minute.
Okay.
So since you didn't see what happened, I'm going to ask you what happened.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Okay, as I arrived in the neighborhood, I would say it was around about between 4 and 5 o'clock.
Is that a neighborhood that you're familiar with?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
I lived there since high school.
You live in that neighborhood?
Yes, ma'am.
Because your house isn't here.
Recently, I've moved outside of the neighborhood now.
But was your house depicted in this sign?
Mind step over to the top?
Yes, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. So I say we were coming from the end of the street.
No, show me first where your house was.
My house is directly in front of his house. Well, one really right here. It was a couple. The houses were a couple more spaced out between where his daughter was. We was probably about 3-4 houses more down the street. So I probably have to say, probably right here in his house.
Okay, but you weren't going to your house. You were going to your friend's house.
Yes, sir. I mean, yes, ma'am. He stays inside of the cul-de-sac.
Because that sign in blue says friend's house. Is that where you were going?
I was heading directly up the street into the cul-de-sac of the circle.
You live in the cul-de-sac?
Yes, ma'am.
So the friend's house was the friends that she was going to visit.
Yes, ma'am.
I see.
Yes, ma'am.
So you live all the way in the cul-de-sac?
Yes, ma'am.
Straight. Okay. Go ahead.
So as I pulled inside the neighborhood, I noticed Brett was pulling in. So we stopped at the end of the street. We'll be at the stop sign. So I stopped. We rode
Now
up.
you can go back.
Okay. Thank you. We stopped at the end of the stop sign, rolled down the window, probably had about 30 seconds worth of talking back and forth. And then I told him I would pull down to his house, which was in the cul-de-sac, which we had another friend awaiting us that was in front of his house already standing outside.
Okay, so you were following him?
Yes, ma'am.
And you didn't see the accident?
I didn't see it until...
Okay. Go ahead.
So as we were pulling up the street, you can notice that there were some activities going on as far as outside. You had on the left side, which would be the friend's house, it was at the cookout, usual cookouts and stuff like that. So it's not out to normal. And the kids, it's normal for the kids to be running in and out the street. So as we pulled inside the neighborhood, we were only going like 4, 5, 10 miles per hour. As I met him at the end of the street, I told him, yo, make sure you drive slow. You know these kids are running out in front of this car. So we pulled down, we're pulling in. We know everybody pretty much on the street. So we blow the horns, say hey to everybody. As I falling behind Brett with probably about 5 feet between us, and I'm pulling further up the street, and I look to the right, look to the left. But as I look back to the right, because one of our friends was outside, I was like, what's up, man, how you doing? I turn back around, the little girl just pops out of nowhere. And I'm only 5 feet between Brett, and I'm following behind him. So with him going through the road, it's kind of giving me confirmation that there's no little kids gonna run out.
So she ran out between 2 parked cars?
No, 2 driving cars, which he was driving in front of me.
So when she ran out, now you can go back there.
Mm-hmm.
When she came out of her area, her side of the street, and it's clear she was going to a friend's house, that's what you say, and the friend's house was across the street.
Yes, ma'am.
And you gave her permission to go across the street to the friend's house?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now she's crossing the street.
So she was crossing the street. I mean, there was a whole bunch of kids, and outside our neighborhood, the kids in the neighborhood, It's not like they're playing. Yeah, the kids were in multiple yards. They were playing from one yard to the next yard.
On the other side of the street?
Yes, they were running. It was one kid. It was a group of kids over here and a group of kids over there.
So they were running back and forth?
Yes, as they was communicating to each other, I'm figuring that's when she got the cue to go across the street. Another kid might have sighted her to cross the street without.
I don't know. Were there cars parked on the street?
Yes, there was a car parked on the street.
Now, let's just be clear. Is it correct that there was a car parked on the street?
Yes.
So when she ran out, she ran past that parked car, and is that the point of impact?
When she ran out, I heard people yelling, "Stop!" But at that time, I was looking back, and she just literally came from behind.
You were looking back where?
I was looking to my right, but when I looked back to my left to just see where everybody was yelling, she just literally came from behind the trunk of a Crown Vic, and she's not even taller than the trunk. So I didn't even see her over the car. By the time I seen her, it was like one just big step, and she was right there in front of my car.
And she broke her
tibia and her knee.
In 2 places?
Yes.
She's lucky she wasn't killed.
Yes.
And she wasn't killed because he wasn't going that fast.
Right. Yes.
If he was going faster, she would have been killed.
Yeah.
Okay. You can go back, sir. She went to the hospital. She had surgeries on her leg. And the next day, you contacted a lawyer. What was the name of the lawyer?
Mange and Associates.
And they took your case?
Yes, ma'am.
When did the lawyer drop your case?
About 6 months later, that everything was picked up as far as the insurance.
What do you mean that everything was picked up as far as insurance? Lawyer didn't take the case just to cover your medical bills. The lawyer took the case for compensation.
Right.
Medical bills were covered. Did you sign a general release?
Yes, ma'am.
You signed the general release with the lawyer in satisfaction of the claim against the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
So what are you doing here, is my question. I'm trying to figure it out now. I mean, I didn't know this. It's not anywhere in the papers. But his insurance company made a settlement with you. In what amount of money?
We have no settlement, Your Honor.
Well, you did, because if you signed a settlement... Did they sign a settlement agreement with your insurance company?
The insurance company did give me a call and tell me they were pursuing further something more on the case.
What?
The insurance company did call me and told me they was looking to sue me.
Did your insurance company pay the Listen, I'm a really smart lady. Did your insurance company pay their medical bills? That's very easy. I can pick up the phone.
Yes.
You can get the information. Did his insurance company pay your medical bills?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, they didn't pay your medical bills to safe bills. You signed a settlement agreement with them. Do you have a copy of the settlement agreement?
No, we don't.
Get it. What?
As the police, I was kind of confused, too, because when the police showed up, I didn't get ticketed.
I don't know. What I want to know is why the attorney dropped the case. And either the attorney dropped the case because there was a settlement, the attorney dropped the case because he said, listen, there really is no liability here, so I'm not going to waste any more of my time. I don't know what the reason is, but I do know that her medical bills had to be in the tens of thousands of dollars if she's had surgery. And if his insurance company paid for those medical bills, they didn't pay for those medical bills unless you signed a settlement, which I want to see.
I don't have a copy of...
Great. We're going to go get it, and we'll come back. Thank you.
This case will be recalled and step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There's no question that the defendant wasn't speeding. So in order to find in your favor, I have to find that he was negligent. It's not just because an accident happened that somebody is financially liable. Somebody is financially liable if they actually are at fault.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
In a case recalled from earlier today, Jordan and Arisha Green say motorist Anthony Smith hit their daughter while she was crossing the street.
Recall case number 400 in the matter of Green versus Smith. Parties are reminded you're still under oath.
It's my understanding that you do not have a settlement with the insurance company because Mr. Smith's insurance company did not pay the medical bills. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Who paid the medical bills?
Medicaid.
Now I go back to my original question. Your attorney that you originally hired 5 months later decided to drop the case.
Yes, ma'am.
Did he or she explain why?
Not really. The lawyers that we had, they didn't communicate with us the entire 6 months.
But they dropped the case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, do you have a police report?
I couldn't locate it. I just have the insurance, copy of my insurance.
Is there currently a claim pending by the plaintiffs against your insurance company?
No, ma'am. Actually, because of the accident, they ended up dropping me from my insurance company.
Can I see that letter?
I don't have the letter stating that they dropped me, But as of August, they told me since I had gotten to the accident of hitting her, they had no choice but to drop me from my plan.
May I see the letter from the insurance company canceling your insurance?
This is it right here. This showing that it's effective until, I think that was up until August or so.
Insurance company. I see that this says that it's effective from February until August, but I want to know that it was still in effect in April.
Okay.
It says effective 2/9/16. I want to know that it was in effect in April, which means that you paid your premiums and they hadn't dropped you.
I don't believe I have the copy showing that I paid the April bill.
Mr. Smith, if I call the insurance company, and don't waste my time because, you know, I'm busy and I get cranky. If I call the insurance company, will they tell me that your policy had lapsed in April?
No, ma'am.
They will tell me that it was in effect at the time of this accident?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Are you sure?
I'm 100% sure.
Did you contact his insurance company?
No, ma'am.
Who did?
The lawyers.
And?
They did not return my call as far as knowing the information for that case. So I pursued how I could obtain money through...
So you don't know?
Personally.
Got it. What?
So my insurance company did come out, and they did question everybody at the scene after he filed a claim against me, as far as the families that were out there that day, and asked for that probably could have helped him in his case, or probably could have helped me in my case. But the insurance company came out there, but everybody that was out there said they didn't see anything.
Listen to me. I just want to find out whether your policy was in effect.
Gotcha.
Were you not driving your car?
The car that I had just finished up medical school, so I wasn't.
Who's Valerie?
My stepmom.
So this you just showed me is insurance that's owned by Valerie?
Yes.
Mr. Smith, you want to tell me what the story is here so that I can simplify it for myself?
I had a previous car that went out probably a month ahead of that time.
And?
I had to still make it back and forth to school, and I was almost on the verge of finishing. So my dad, instead of going out buying a new car, they just gave me the old car, and she got a new car.
Okay.
And the insurance plan...
Were you supposed to change the insurance to your name?
I wasn't supposed to change the insurance into my name until August. She gave me until the insurance renewal was until it was over with, until August, which in come August, I was have to renew under my own insurance plan. But it ended up happening before August.
Were you named insured on that policy?
No.
I knew that something wasn't right.
Yes.
Okay. So while there may have been insurance on the car, if your stepmother was driving the car, you were never added as another driver. And you had taken this car to finish school?
Yes, I was just driving it back and forth to school.
Okay.
She was outside with her friend's mother and father who were up on the porch.
And they didn't watch her carefully enough?
Yes, they watched her.
No, they didn't watch her carefully enough. If they watched her carefully enough, she wouldn't have gotten hit by a non-speeding car.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Jordan and Arisha Green claim motorist Anthony Smith is at fault for hitting their daughter while she was crossing the street.
Now, what's your daughter's first name?
Journey.
Can you come up here? I have a couple of questions for you. Have a seat, Journey. You're 7?
Yes.
You remember the day of this accident, right?
Yes.
You were going across to visit your friends? Across the street? Do you remember running out the street?
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
I, looked both ways, and then I get hit.
Would you go to the seat? I understand why your attorney dropped the case. He dropped the case probably because the insurance probably didn't cover the defendant as a driver of the car. That's a possibility. It also was a possibility, Mr. and Mrs. Green said, you know what? This was a terrible accident and very unfortunate. There's no question that the defendant wasn't speeding. So in order to find in your favor, I have to find that he was negligent. Do you understand? It's not just because an accident happened that somebody is financially liable. Somebody is financially liable if they actually are at fault. Now, you didn't see the accident.
Oh, ma'am.
Who do you think is at fault?
I believe he is.
And what about you and your wife?
I believe we share some of the blame.
That's true. That's part of the what we call responsibility.
Yes, ma'am.
So you and the defendant share some of the responsibility because you didn't do what you were supposed to do, which is watch your child. She's too young to be crossing the street without somebody shepherding her across the street.
Right.
And then the next part of it is, what could Mr. Smith have done to avoid the accident? He wasn't speeding. He was going very slowly, because if he wasn't, she would have been dead. Right? There's no question about that. She's a little girl. She has little bones, and she fractured a bone. Who do you think is responsible for her pain and suffering if you're partially responsible for her injury?
Well, I believe him due to the fact that there were multiple adults outside at the scene. There were numerous children outside, and although I was not physically at the accident, she was outside with her friend's mother.
Carefully enough.
Yes, they watched her.
No, they didn't watch her carefully enough. If
What?
they watched her carefully enough, she wouldn't have gotten hit by a non-speeding car.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Let me tell you, what you're suing him for is for $5,000. And part of that is for your lost wages.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, since you're responsible as a parent for this accident, for not taking care of your daughter, you don't get lost wages. Your responsibility is to watch your child. So your lawsuit for your lost wages and taking care of your daughter is dismissed. The next part of your lawsuit is you're asking for pain and suffering for your daughter. And for that, you have to bear at least part of the responsibility because you're her parents. She darted out between the cars. And how am I supposed to find him guilty of negligence? There was an investigation. He was not cited by the police. Was he not paying careful enough attention? The only thing that you said to me, Mr. Smith, that suggests to me that your eyes were deflected for a moment is you said to me at some point right before the impact with Journey, you looked over and waved hi to a friend.
Yes.
And you took your eyes off the road.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think there has to be some responsibility for that. Certainly not $5,000 worth of responsibility, because the majority of that belongs to you. Anyway, I'm not awarding you $5,000 as you requested, but I think that even Mr. Smith, I think he understands that he does bear some responsibility. But I believe that the majority of responsibility for protecting Journey is yours, because you're her parents. And you didn't do that on the 4th of April. I'm awarding you $1,000 for her pain and suffering, but that's for her, not for you. Anyway, she's a cute little girl. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. We're done.
You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy...
I'm happy with the decision. I do feel as if he was more responsible.
I do believe there was some blame for me and some blame for the parents.
I was disappointed because I knew that it took place in the moment that we didn't have our eyes physically on our child.
She just wasn't thinking as an adult, so I don't completely blame her. I just think it was a freak accident.
I'm happy that my daughter's here.
Drive safe, pay attention. If you think you look left and right, look left and right twice.
We walked up to the car and we said, can we get our ball back?
And what did she say to you?
She said no.
Taking a child's basketball wasn't a slam dunk.
No, ma'am. No, I'm telling you, that's not a question.
Oh, it is?
That's not a question.
But did this young boy commit a foul?
He came up and he kicked the car. He then said, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Lamont, back up here.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Cheryl Brown is suing her neighbor, Lamont Turner, for damage caused to her car when his son kicked it.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 359 on the calendar in the matter of Brown versus Turner.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Okay, so I'm going to create a visual from the papers that I've read. Miss Brown, you and the Turners live in the same community.
Yes, ma'am.
And are these your two boys?
Yes.
How old are you?
11.
And you?
9.
What's your name?
Lamont.
And The boys play, and they play in the street in front of your house, and sometimes they sort of spill over into your yard. Based upon what I'm reading here, you've found that annoying because in addition to playing in front of your yard, sometimes they deposit trash there. You know, they'll eat an ice cream or... Anyway, at some point, the boys were playing basketball, and Lamont left his basketball in your yard.
Yes, ma'am.
You had had enough. You took the basketball and you took it inside.
Yes.
You were pulling out in your car. Was that the next day or the same day?
Well, can I...
No. Next day or the same day?
It was several days.
Several days later. Was it just Lamont and his brother, or were there other kids around too?
There was several other kids.
And they said, do you have that basketball?
Who came to my car was Lamont and another kid.
Okay, so Lamont and another kid came to your car and said, do you have our basketball?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said, yes.
I have several balls.
He said, I want it back.
Yeah, he said, I want it back, and you're going to give it to me.
Well, first he said, I want it back. No, he wasn't fresh. He said, I want my basketball.
No, he was fresh.
Not at the beginning. He wouldn't start out being fresh. That's not common sense.
They came to my car, they knocked on the window, and said, you have our ball, we want it back.
And you added, and you're going to give it to me, because that's the fresh part. You have that basketball, and I want it back. That's perfectly reasonable. The other part was not, and I couldn't ascribe that to an 11-year-old. As it happened, he didn't say that to you, because that's not what you told me just a second ago when you revised your statement. At the beginning, you said, you have that ball, and you're going to give it to me. And that's different from the second state exchange. He kicked your car. That's why we're here.
Okay.
About the kick to your car. You, up here. Lamont, did you think that I was just harsh with Mrs. Brown?
No, ma'am.
You didn't?
No,
I
ma'am.
did. So, after she took the basketball inside, who told you she had the basketball?
She did, because when she was coming down the street, we said...
In the car?
Yeah.
She was in the car.
She said, get out the street. And we wasn't even in the street. We was up in a driveway. And then we walked up to the car and we said, can we get our ball back?
Just a second. I want you to tell me exactly what you said to her and what she said to you.
I said, can I get my ball back? And she said, no. And then I was like, I'm going to get my daddy. And she said, excuse my language. Can I say exactly what she said? She said, go get your daddy.
So, did that make you angry?
Yes.
Did you kick her car?
No, ma'am.
Who kicked her car?
No one.
Somebody kicked her car. I believe what you said to me so far. But she's going to show me pictures of her car. You're a little boy. You can't do that much damage. So, really, she cursed.
Yes.
And what did you do when she cursed?
Nothing.
Nothing?
No. I went to go get my daddy.
Okay. Go sit down. Came up to the car. I actually believe exactly what he said you said to him. And was at that point that he kicked your car?
No.
When did he kick your car?
Since they were all in the street, I went over to the crowd of boys and girls. I asked where he stayed. They wouldn't tell me. And then someone yelled, he lives around the corner. So I went around the corner. I was knocking on doors to try to find out who his parents were.
Why?
Because there had to be somebody in the neighborhood.
Why?
Because I needed to talk to his parent.
About what?
Because he was disrespectful.
He was disrespectful?
Yes, ma'am.
I actually think what you said to him was disrespectful.
Well, I never said anything about his father because I didn't know who his father was or where he was.
I know you didn't know it.
I never said
anything. Okay, so you were going around the neighborhood to try to find his parents because he said something disrespectful to you. I want you to tell me what he said that was disrespectful.
That we want our ball back. So I wanted to talk to the parents.
Well, that's not disrespectful.
Well, I felt disrespected.
Well, I don't care what you felt. I'm telling you, it's not disrespectful.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Now you're going around to try to find out where his parents live.
Yes, ma'am. And they wouldn't tell me. So when I came back from knocking on the door, I said, I'll give you $5 if you tell me who his parents are. They said, we don't rock that way, quote unquote. And then at that point, as I'm sitting in my car, he came up and he kicked the car.
Okay.
Then one of the other boys restrained him because he did.
I'd like to see a photograph of what you allege he did to your car.
Okay. This is the car as it looks. This is the damage to the car and the door. There's also a police report with him admitting to kicking the car.
I'd like to see that too.
And also his statement about...
Bert, would you tell me what this is a picture of?
Where is the damage?
It's this right here.
Okay, Lamont, listen to me. Back up here. I'm going to give you a lesson that hopefully is for the rest of your life. You either lied to me today or you lied to the police when you spoke to them. Do you understand?
Yes.
Because you couldn't have told the truth both times because you told the police that you kicked the car. And you even told the police why you kicked the car. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you remember telling the police why you kicked the car?
No.
You told the police that you kicked the car because Brown called him a little boy. That's a quote from the police. So either you were lying to the police or you're lying to me. You want to tell me which one it is?
I lied to the police.
Think to lie to anybody. How's that? Now you can go sit down. First of all, Miss Brown, I actually don't understand the whole problem with young people playing in the street or playing on grass or maybe dropping a ball on your front lawn. You actually stole his property.
No, ma'am.
No, I'm telling you, that's not a question.
Oh, it is?
That's not a question. That's what I'm saying to you. When you deprive the owner of property of their property.
Yes, ma'am.
And you do so with any sort of restraint, and you did so by taking it and moving it into your house. It's a larceny. Just listen to me.
Yes.
That's the law.
May I speak to that? Again, this is not the first time. There have been several balls left in my yard, along with trash left in my yard. They would leave their jackets and everything in my yard. I would pick it up and bring it inside. I had several balls. So again, I'm not sure what ball was his or not. But again, with me having to pick up and clean up trash out of the street, plus with them playing ball in the street, it is a hazard because I've lived there 16 years. I've seen a kid get hit. And I was asking them nicely. I've spoken to parents nicely. Please don't let your children play basketball over a two-lane street. That's the reason.
No. You took his property, and he then told you who it belonged to. You had the responsibility to return it to him, seek to find out who his parents are. You can do that. But what I'm telling you is when you hold on to someone's property and refuse to return it to them, it's a larceny.
Well,
I don't care it's a well.
I didn't larceny
You're not a lawyer.
anything.
Are you
I
a
cleaned
lawyer?
up my yard.
Are you a lawyer?
No, ma'am.
I'm telling you, it's a larceny. It's the same thing. Let's say it wasn't a basketball, and it was a 4-carat engagement ring that you found on your lawn.
Yes, ma'am.
And you took it, and you took it inside. And the person said, oh, gee, I know I dropped it. It had to be here. Came up, knocked at your door, and said, do you have my 4-carat engagement ring? And you said, yes, I do. It was on my lawn, and you can't have it back.
But I had several balls.
I don't care.
I mean, a 4-carat ring is totally different than several balls.
You're playing with me.
No, I'm not playing with you. I'm
you're
telling
playing
you
with me.
exactly.
That doesn't excuse Lamont from kicking your car. And he kicked the car because either he lied to me or he lied to the police. And what he told the police, he told closer in time to the event than now. Now
I
he's
wasn't
had time
out there when he talked with the police.
I'm speaking. Now he had time to reflect. He had time to talk to his father, who probably got just as annoyed as I am with her, and say, uncross your hands. Because I know his father wouldn't lie, because he either lied to the police or he lied to me. You wouldn't encourage your child to lie to the police, would you?
Right, I wouldn't even let him talk to the police.
He did speak to the police.
And so did he, because it's in the police
I'm not
report.
speaking to you.
Yes, ma'am.
They spoke with him when I wasn't out there.
I don't care.
So I don't know what was said.
I don't care. Your responsibility as a father is to say to your son, if you told the police the day of this incident that you kicked the car because she called you a name, and that's the truth, you have to stick with that story. I'll take it up with Miss Brown, but you don't encourage your son to lie. Do you understand me?
I understand what you're saying.
Great. Now I will see an estimate of what it cost to fix your car.
I never seen the car, seen the damage. How do you know the damage wasn't there before that?
How do I know the earth is round?
For real.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
she actually said she would be available, but that I would have to start the process all over again, that my funds were non-transferable or non-refundable.
That's ridiculous.
No, it's not ridiculous.
Listen.
Yes, ma'am.
Real cases, real people. Neighbor 11-year-old Lamont Turner kicked her car after she took his basketball.
You're going to understand what I'm saying to you. I think that Miss Brown is 100% off base. They're kids. They're playing sports in the street. They're not doing anything bad for society. They're not doing anything illegal. They're playing basketball. That's what they're supposed to be doing at age 9 and 11. So I have no sympathy for her at all. You get that? He can't kick her car. That's not the response to something that you don't agree with. He goes home, he says to his father or to his mother, this lady down the street has my basketball and she won't give it to me. Then you go to her house and you say, you have my son's basketball. Tell me what the problem is. Do you understand how civilized people take care of their problems? And if you condone your son kicking her car in response to her bad behavior, that's inappropriate teaching. You got it? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $700. We're done. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
My kids ain't the only kids out there. There's a gang, a lot of kids in the area, so...
It's definitely about principle because he learned not to lie.
He say he ain't do it, and that's what I'm going with.
He should actually have told the truth at first. Well, I don't think we would have been here.
Peace. Everything is done and over with.
Next case.
All parties in the matter of Butler versus Clark. Step forward.
Makeup artist Alexandra Butler is suing Maisha Clark for a false chargeback on PayPal.
How long have you been a makeup artist, Miss Butler?
About 10 years I've been a makeup artist.
And when did Miss Clark contact you about doing makeup for her wedding, for the bridal party?
She reached out to me May 11, 2016.
And when was the wedding scheduled?
It was scheduled for June 2nd, 2017.
More than a year later.
Yes, ma'am.
And you entered into a contract with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a copy of that contract?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it. Do you have a copy of the contract?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see yours as well. Okay, so you signed this contract.
Yes.
And you sent her $905.
Actually $931.65.
And then something happened and the date of the wedding changed.
Yes, correct.
Tell me when it changed to.
It changed from June 2nd, 2017 to October 29th, 2016. We had experienced a miscarriage, so we decided to move up the wedding to start our family.
And you called her?
I emailed her.
When did?
15.
And what did she say?
I asked her if she would be available the date of October 29th, 2016.
Well, that's a short window.
Yes.
So she wasn't available.
She actually said she would be available, but that I would have to start the process all over again, that my funds were non-transferable or non-refundable.
That's ridiculous.
No, it's not ridiculous.
Listen.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
In the invoice that she paid, which is also another contract, it states that the deposit is non-refundable or transferable.
Don't tell me what it says. Show it to me.
Sure.
I also have
just shh. She's not going to be successful.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Makeup artist Alexandra Butler claims Maisha Clark filed a false chargeback on PayPal.
All right, so let's get it together. We have a contract, and I don't have to waste my time any further on this. What happened was you had paid through PayPal?
Yes, correct.
And you contacted them and disputed the charge?
Correct. I disputed
and PayPal looked at this contract, just as I looked at this contract, and said, there's no non-refundable policy in there. The only thing that you put in the contract is, because it's so far canceled, before a certain date, you can get her another makeup artist. If for some reason you're not available. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You didn't turn down another appointment for that date?
Actually, I did turn down a lot of appointments
for
that date.
Well, prove it. First of all, your contract doesn't say that you can keep...
She sent.
The contract.
Correct.
The contract that was signed.
Correct.
Doesn't say anything about no refund.
Correct. However, in the invoice that she paid, which is also another contract, it states that the deposit is non-refundable or transferable.
Don't tell me what it says. Show it to me.
Sure.
What you are relying on.
I also have
shh. She's not going to be successful. She's not going to be successful.
Right here.
But I'm going to let her show me the invoice. Okay. I don't even have to look at it. Listen to me carefully. This is not a contract. This is a contract. This is signed by the two of you. You prepared the contract.
Correct. Yeah, that is correct.
She signed it. You show me her signature here. anywhere.
Well, her payment to the contract.
No.
No.
Listen to me carefully.
Yes, ma'am, sure.
You prepared the contract. Let me give you a brief primer as to what the law is.
Sure.
The person who prepares the contract, if they did the contract, the courts look at that contract most favorably to the other side.
Correct.
Because you prepared the contract. Your contract doesn't say non-refundable, period.
I have a question.
But if you can demonstrate to me with names, phone numbers, addresses, contracts that you gave up on that date, I may be sympathetic with you because even though it was not written, she did not give you adequate notice and you actually had an out-of-pocket loss.
I have a question.
But I guarantee you, you cannot prove to me today that you had an out-of-pocket loss. I said, I guarantee you, you cannot prove an out-of-pocket loss for a period of time, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, 10 months away. I guarantee it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
If you're a good makeup artist, in 10 months you can find somebody else to do a June wedding.
Correct.
Okay. She gets her money back. $931.65. She's got it back? You have it?
Yes.
You don't get it. Because it was taken out of your PayPal.
Well, that doesn't make sense to me, only because the invoice that was paid, it was...
She understood. You're trying to ask me to view the operation of her mind. I don't have to do that. You have a contract. It's a written contract. It sets the terms of this agreement. Nowhere in the agreement does it say the contract has a non-refundable deposit on the day that it's paid. She paid you and then got an invoice. You lose. You don't get the money back. Redo your contract. Put in your contract that somebody signs that this is a non-refundable deposit for this particular day. And if at any time you cancel, you lose your deposit.
That's what's said in the contract part of the invoice.
This is not a contract.
It says contract. It says policies
I
on
don't
the invoice.
care what it says,
It
your
says policies
policy.
on the
I don't
invoice.
care if it says that this is your religion. I don't care if it says that this is what your mother taught you or your father taught you. This is your contract. This is not.
Okay.
Good.
That's a receipt?
Good. You don't get your money. Bye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Well, now I'm going to make sure I include it. I'm going to make sure I include a whole lot of information so that I don't get screwed again.
I think that Alexandra's practices are a little deceptive.
Because of people that don't read their invoices.
Given that in the contract, nowhere stated was the money not...
I'm still going to be amazing and successful.
Or non-transferable. Only on the invoice after I had paid.
This is just one glitch that happened, and I'll move on from it.
After you had this argument with your brother on the phone, he vandalized your house.
This sister found it.
The TV was cracked, and you can hear and see the water dripping from it.
A friend witnessed it.
Explain to me what you saw him do to the tires.
Took the knife and poked the tires.
Flattened her tires.
Yes, ma'am.
But brother denies it.
This is an ex-friend of mine, and they done linked up. I guess they're against me.
Somebody else did it. That's what you're suggesting.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Shafia Bryant is suing her brother, Richard Blake, for vandalizing her apartment.
Order. All rise. It's case number 405 on the calendar in the matter of Bryant versus Blake.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Mr. Blake, I'm going to ask you some questions first. Plaintiff is your sister.
Correct.
And I assume that you had prior to the 18th her.
Yes.
Because on the 18th of December, she let you use her home to make a party.
No, we ate crabs at her house, but we didn't have a party.
Who ate crabs at her house?
Me and my kids.
It's just you and your children.
And her best friend.
But she wasn't there.
Correct.
Okay. So you and your children, how many children?
2.
And a friend of hers?
Yes.
Oh, you said in December, this is what you said. In December, I hosted a crab dinner at her apartment. So I assumed it was, when you say I hosted, I usually don't put it that way when I have 2 of my kids over for dinner. Now, you weren't living at her house at the time?
No.
Okay. And there was some sort of an argument. And the argument took place on the phone with your sister because she wasn't in the apartment.
Correct.
And the argument had to do with something stupid about your eating some Halloween candy that belonged to one of her kids. That's what the genesis of it allegedly was, this argument that you had, that you came across some candy in their house when you were there, you had some of it, she made a big deal about it, whatever. I don't care about the argument that happened in October. But you got into another argument with her on the phone.
Correct.
On December 18th.
Yes.
Did you call her or did she call you?
She called me.
And what did she say to you when she called you?
She asked me what happened between me and my daughter, the altercation in reference to some candy.
Just a second. So going fast, was your daughter among those people who were at the crab dinner?
Yes.
So something must have transpired between your daughter, who was how old?
23.
23, and the plaintiff. Maybe they texted each other. Is that what happened?
She called me.
She called you from your house?
She'd already left my house at that time.
So the dinner was over, but he was still there?
Correct.
Is your niece here?
No, she isn't.
Okay. And you had a conversation with your niece?
Yes.
And then you called him?
Correct.
What did you call him to talk to him about?
The altercation between him and my niece.
What did you have a fight with your daughter about?
The fight was about, is reference to the candy. Her friend held up some candy, and I said, I'm not touching it, that's a setup. So by this time, my daughter, she pretty much started laughing real hard. So I asked her, I said, why you laugh like that? Do you know about this candy? She said, yeah, you ate all the CJ Halloween candy. I said, so do you believe that? So she would never answer me. She would never answer me. I said, do you believe it? She said, it's not that serious. I said, well, your aunt thinks that it's that serious. I'm asking you a question. So she got mad. She was already frustrated because my grandbaby was crying, and she was texting back and forth. And something else inspired her to, you know, to come at me the way she did. So by this time, I said, come on, let's go, let's go. She grabbed the baby and was ready to leave. And so my son and then I stood up, and I told her, come on, get out of my sister's house. Come on, right now.
So you threw her out of the house?
Right.
Okay. So she was upset. She called her aunt?
Yes.
Okay. Now what was a nice dinner that you were hosting, a crab dinner, all of a sudden became not a nice thing anymore.
Correct.
About this stupid Halloween candy. Then it is your claim that after you had this argument with your brother on the phone, he vandalized your house.
That's correct.
Did you see him do it?
No.
No. Do you have a witness that saw him do it?
Yes.
Who was that witness?
Diana Cannon.
Were you there that evening with him?
Yes, ma'am.
You want to tell me what happened?
They went to go, was fussing back and forth. Richard got the water out the thing, put it into the TV, hit the TV, and went in the room also with the water. But I didn't go in the bedroom. I sat on the couch.
What water?
A pitcher of water.
What did he do with the pitcher of water?
Poured it in the TV.
Poured it in the TV?
Yes.
In the front, back?
The back of the TV.
Did you say anything to him?
No.
Why?
Because he was already enraged and had anger, was fussing and stuff, so I didn't say nothing.
Did you leave the house?
No, because he was my ride.
So you rode home with him?
I actually didn't go home until after he flattened her tires.
After he what?
Had flattened her tires after that.
Flattened her tires?
Yes, ma'am.
So you didn't go home with him?
After he flattened the tires, then I went home. He took me home.
Explain to me what you saw him do to the tires.
He got out the car, took the knife and poked the tires. Flat 3 tires.
Her tires?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you?
They were texting back and forth. I guess whatever she said on the other end of the text messages had him highly upset, and he was enraged, so he spazzed out.
Do you have those text messages?
No. I deleted everything, all the communication between him and I out of the phone.
What did you find when you got home?
I got home maybe 20 minutes after my phone conversation with him. I found that my front door was left open, propped open with the chair. The TV in the living room was cracked, and you can hear and see the water dripping from it. The TV in my bedroom was knocked off the stand, and water was poured into that as well.
And what about your tires?
It wasn't until after the police left and I went to leave my house that I noticed that the tires were slashed.
Can I see the police report?
Yes. Now, the police report doesn't oh, I'm sorry.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
John, when I left the house, Diana was still in the house when I left. She didn't leave with me. I left by myself, and once I got off the phone with her, I just left. I was so mad and upset because she was intoxicated. She's a belligerent, so I just left. I was very upset, and I left. I never did none of these things that she's saying that I did. I left out of the house. And then as far as tires, I never knew. A friend of mine called me and asked me about this situation. I never knew that anything about no damages or nothing. This is an ex-friend of mine, and they done linked up to be best friends, and I guess they're against me.
Listen, sir, on the 18th, of December, you had a furious argument with your daughter, and it was all about plaintiff's son's Halloween candy. Whatever frustrations you had at that time are consistent with the vandalism that happened in her house on that night, because this report was taken that same day. So what you're suggesting is that some elf, pre-Christmas elf, came down and destroyed the 2 televisions and flattened the tires. That's what you're suggesting. Somebody else did it.
I don't know who did it, but Deanna was still left at the apartment. She could tell you better. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. I was gone.
Anything else? Anything else? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. We're finished.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Somebody else vandalized. She lived in one of the
Extremely frustrating.
dangerous neighborhoods in D.C. Anybody could have done that.
Because that's my brother.
She already stated that I left the door open, which is true.
Shocked.
Because I was upset with her, but I didn't vandalize it.
A war zone.
But from my understanding, she don't want one with me, but I want one with her.
I understand.
Wanted to know I love her.
I'm not sure right now.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mitchell versus Lawson.
Former friend, Matthew Lawson, for stealing his cat and giving it away.
Mr. Mitchell, it is your claim that the defendant gave away your cat. You want to be compensated for that, along with a lot of other things. You know the defendant because you both are truck drivers, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You drive for the same company?
Not anymore.
Did you at the time that you made this arrangement with him to watch your cat?
No.
So you became friends at a company and then you moved on. Who left the company?
Matthew.
Okay. There came a time that you wanted to go to visit your fiancée. You were going to the Philippines.
Yes, ma'am.
For a 3-week period.
Yes, ma'am.
From when to when?
April 10 to May 1st.
And you needed someone to watch your cat for those 20 days.
Yes, ma'am.
You originally hired somebody, according to what I read, but that person backed out. At the last minute, you needed somebody to take care of the cat, and you contacted Mr. Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
On what date did you contact Mr. Lawson?
April 8, 2016.
And he agreed to take the cat.
Yes, ma'am.
And you agreed to pick up the cat on May 1st or May 2nd when you returned.
No, we made an agreement for him to bring me my cat.
Or to bring you your cat. On what date?
The agreement was May 7th.
Well, that's much after you returned. Why May 7th?
May 7th was because I'm a truck driver. I just came back from the Philippines, and I didn't have a truck at the time, and my cat was traveling with me over the road. So Matthew and I, we were in communication.
No. You were going away from the 10th to May 1st.
Right.
According to your complaint, that's what this whole issue is about. According to the complaint, you paid him $200 to watch your cat while you were in the Philippines.
Right.
But you came back from the Philippines on May 1st.
May 2nd, I came back.
No, you were going, you said, from April 10th to May 1st.
Okay, I'm sorry. May 1st is when I landed at Tom Bradley International Airport. I missed my flight, and I had a next flight the next day.
Okay, so you missed,
Phoenix,
just a
Arizona.
second.
Yes.
So you missed your flight.
Yes.
And came back the 2nd.
Yes, ma'am. And
Did you notify Mr. Lawson that you missed your flight and you were coming back on the 2nd?
No.
Why not?
Because my phone died in the flight, and I didn't have a charger at the time. So when I came back to Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, they have a cell phone port where you can actually charge your phone up. And that's when Matthew and I started our conversation.
On the 2nd?
Yes.
And do you recall what that conversation was?
Yes, I do have the chat logs.
Go ahead. Tell me what you said to him and what he said to you.
Our conversation was he welcomed me back to the United States from the Philippines. That whole entire week, we were making...
Not the whole entire week.
Okay.
All I want you to tell me is what was the conversation on May 2nd. Now you're home. So I want you to tell me, because he has a different story.
Right. Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
You're back a day late, and you call him a day late. When you what? And he says to you, he's going to tell me a different story. Whoever I believe wins this case. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're a responsible pet owner, and somebody is doing you a favor. I don't care if you have to walk there. You walk there and get your cat.
Your Honor, he agreed.
Just a second. How did your cat get to his house?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Nathan Mitchell says former friend Matthew Lawson stole his cat and gave it away. Matthew has a countersuit for pet supplies and lost wages.
Now, you're back a day late, and you call him a day late when you get a port to plug in your phone, and you say to him what? And he says to you, he's going to tell me a different story. Whoever I believe wins this case. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Go.
I came back May 2nd.
You don't think of what you're going to say. Just tell me about the conversation.
Our conversation
you called him.
Our conversation was we were making arrangements to for him to bring me my cat.
You want to tell me what the conversation was? May 2nd.
May 2nd, I did not hear from him, Your Honor. I did not hear from him for about a week and a half after.
He's going to show me a phone chat. Can I see it?
It says, "Hey, brother."
No. I got the whole thing. You were irresponsible with your animal. You were in a financial bind. You needed to work because you were in the Philippines for a month and you didn't have money. You had a lot of trouble with your phones. The phone charger died at the beginning. Then you got 2 new phones, and the phones didn't have service, so you could only look on Facebook, so you couldn't get in touch with him. And now we're talking about, from May 2nd, we're talking about June 9th. And he texts you early on, and he says to you, "Hey, bro, I'm doing you a favor, but we're expecting a baby, and I have to go out on the road, too. And my fiance can't change the litter box because it's dangerous for pregnant women to be around cat litter." That's what he says to you in here. That doesn't seem to inspire you.
Your Honor, he was supposed to bring me my cat on the day that he agreed.
Well, your cat is with a nice lady now, and the cat went with a nice lady the beginning of June. So I suggest if you want a cat, you get another cat. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
If you're a responsible pet owner and somebody is doing you a favor and says, "I'll watch your cat for 3 weeks," and then you have other life's problems that you're trying to visit on somebody else, whether it's my dispatcher couldn't get me a job coming, you walk there on May 3rd and get your cat.
Your Honor, he agreed.
Just a second. How did your cat get to his house?
He drove from Sierra Vista, where he lives, to pick up my cat.
That was very nice of him, right?
Right. And I did pay him for that. I paid him $200 to...
Just a second. You paid him $200 in cash in April. April to May, May to June. This was June 9th that you had this conversation. So let's say 2 months, 60 days. That's $3 a day. That's $3 a day. Outrageous. I actually think it's outrageous.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This person responded to the ad?
She contacted me through a message.
And did she come over to pick up the cat?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you know how old the cat was?
I believe she was 2 years old.
Pretty cat?
Oh, she was beautiful, yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Nathan Mitchell says former friend Matthew Lawson stole his cat and gave it away. Matthew has a countersuit for pet supplies and lost wages.
Does your fiance have the baby? That's not a good thing to forget.
What is it? 8/7?
August 7th.
Yeah. Oh.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Everything okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. When did the lady come and take the cat?
It was on June 7th, Your Honor.
And how did the lady come to find the cat?
Summer, my fiance ended up finding an ad on Facebook, doing an ad on Facebook. Go ahead.
I went ahead and I posted on Cochise County Animal Connection. It's a group on Facebook, basically to rehome the animal because I wasn't able to care for her anymore.
This person responded to the ad?
Yes, ma'am.
And she gave you her name, phone number, etc.?
She contacted me through a message. I went ahead and gave her my telephone number, and she called me.
And did she come over to pick up the cat?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have her name?
I don't. After the woman came to pick up the animal, since it was basically closed, they removed the ad from Facebook, so I don't have any of her contact information.
Did you know how old the cat was?
I believe she was 2 years old.
Pretty cat?
Oh, she was beautiful, yes.
How long had you had the cat?
7 years now.
Oh, 7 years?
Yes.
Well, now it's got a new home. Got to be more vigilant. I'm not really going to entertain that counterclaim. For lost wages because you didn't take trips, because you didn't pick up the cat, and you couldn't leave your fiancée in her late stage of pregnancy.
Your Honor,
listen to me, I'm not entertaining that. One of the things that I will tell you, Mr. Lawson, is that you took the cat while your fiancée was pregnant.
Yes, ma'am.
Not smart.
It was a 3-week agreement, Your Honor.
I understand it was a 3-week agreement.
It was in my time frame to be home. I didn't expect to have it another 5 weeks, Your Honor.
You should have given it away before.
Your Honor, what I am going to ask for is I looked up pet setting. If you look at in the area, it goes from 25 to 55 a day.
But you didn't have a contract with him. I can't impose a contract when
Your
none
Honor.
existed, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, you took the cat while your fiancée was pregnant.
Yes, ma'am.
Not smart.
It was a 3-week agreement, Your Honor.
I
I'd have been
understand
home.
it was a 3-week agreement.
It was in my time frame to be home. I didn't expect to have it another 5 weeks, Your Honor. And
You should have given it away before. But
At
you didn't
30
have a contract with him. I can't impose a contract when
Your
none
Honor.
existed, sir. Listen, man, it's what you said, favor.
Absolutely.
Okay. Other than the $200, you first took possession of the cat. Did you get any food?
Yes, ma'am.
A case of food?
Case of food, yes, Your Honor.
I just want to know what he gave you with the cat.
He gave me a small bag of food and a small thing of litter.
1 bag of food
Yes, ma'am.
and 1 bag of litter.
Yes, ma'am.
How long did that last?
A couple weeks.
Do you have bills for the pet supplies that you paid while the cat was in your possession?
Yeah, I did. I don't have copies of that.
Well-
What I did do was screenshotted here the prices of them.
No, I don't want to see
have-
prices. I need bills.
I don't have the bills on it.
Your
The
case is
favor didn't
dismissed, Mr.
expect
Mitchell.
this. So,
We're done. Thank you.
Your Honor, one more thing. May I show you?
What?
This is my wages that I've lost.
Forget it.
No.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy...
I messaged him on Facebook, text message calls. He never answered.
He said in the message on Facebook saying that he was going to be there.
He would answer on Facebook once in a blue moon, and then he said, oh, well, my phone don't work.
May 7th at 8 o'clock in the morning to bring me my cat.
You know, I said, well, why couldn't you message me on Facebook if you're posting all day, every day?
I stayed, you know, for 2 hours.
2 days later, he said, hey, I got a car rental.
The whole purpose was...
I got rid of it 2 days ago. We had an agreement.
It's really heartbreaking for me because, you know, I rescued that cat from a home who was being...
When I told him I got rid of the cat, I gave him a set time, mid-May, hey.
You know, the cat was being tormented, you know, and, you know, but that cat was my life, so...
If you don't come get it by beginning of June, I'm getting rid of it.
Ever since, you know, I lost her, you know, I've been, you know, into shock.
If you love your cat, I mean, it was something you had to make time for.
You know, it's really shocking because, you know, when we first met, we were really, you know, we connected, you know, and then, you know, 6 months later, you know, it's like, you know, here we are on a Judge Judy show.
You got an $18,000 check.
Yes.
Tell me what you did with it.
This mom couldn't trust herself.
I called my daughter and said, I received this check. Please come and take it from me.
Why?
Because I have a history of alcoholism.
Now she regrets trusting her daughter.
Most of the time she wasn't sober. She told me, you can use as much as you need for the wedding. You do not need to worry about paying me back.
That is a lie.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Penny Webb is suing her daughter, 23-year-old, dollars from her.
Order. All rise. Now it's case number 422 on the calendar, the matter of Webb versus Webb.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Miss Webb, this is your daughter. Is your claim she stole $10,000 from you?
That's correct.
I'm listening.
Back in October of 2015, I received a disability settlement in the amount of $18,000. I have the copy of the check right here. Also,
Just a second. What's the nature of your disability?
I have COPD and asthma.
What kind of work did you do prior to 2015? And for whom did you work?
I worked for Great Lakes Management. I managed commercial real estate.
For how long? From when to when?
Wow, it's many years ago, Your Honor.
Well, I want to know what you did just prior to 2015.
Basically, I did nothing. I have no employment from 2000.
Who supported you?
The county.
So you were on welfare?
Yes.
What prompted you to go off welfare and on disability? Whose suggestion was that?
Mine. I couldn't physically do a job.
Well, you hadn't been working before. Do you understand what my question is to you? What prompted you to move from welfare to disability?
Because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't breathe.
weren't working before?
No, I wasn't.
And you were receiving welfare. Then you went and applied for disability. And initially, you were clearly turned down for your disability.
Everyone is, yes.
No, that's not true. I know that factually. Not everyone is turned down, but you were turned down.
Yes.
And then you hired a lawyer.
Yes.
And you appealed that determination.
Yes.
And when they appealed that determination, an administrative law judge with the Social Security Administration issued an award in your judgment, and you got the back money,
Correct.
which was $18,000. I know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
My question to you is, what prompted you to go off welfare and seek disability instead? Did a lawyer suggest it to you? Did you watch an ad on television?
No, I just decided myself.
Well, how many
I didn't
years?
want to be on welfare anymore.
Well, what do you think this
Disability is not welfare.
Okay. It is if you don't work.
I
if
worked
you don't have
all
a
my
work.
life.
Okay. All right, let's go. So you got $18,000. You got an $18,000 check.
Yes.
And at the time, you got an $18,000 check. Tell me what you did with it.
Well, I called my daughter and said, I want you to come and take the check. I received this check. Please come and take it from me because I don't trust myself.
Why?
Because
You have to explain that to me. Why would a mature woman whose only problem is that they have COPD and asthma let her child take charge of $18,000 rather than putting it in a bank and monitoring it yourself?
Because I have a history of alcoholism.
Since when?
Since all my life.
That was in 2015. From 2015 until June of 2016, were you in rehab?
I was in rehab the whole month of May in 2016.
What about prior to May? January, February, March, and April?
I was not.
Was not. In 2015, after you received the check, were you in rehab?
No.
So from October of 2015 until May of 2016, you were not in rehab.
I was in rehab for 28 days of May in the 2016.
Prior to that, when were you in rehab?
On and off every year I was in rehab. I've been trying to stop drinking for many years.
So when you say you were in rehab, was this a private rehab facility or was it paid for by...
It was paid for by the county.
By the county. That was in May. It was paid for by the county.
That's correct.
Even though you had all this money.
That's correct.
So if you had had this money in the bank...
Well, yeah, because the money in the bank is for my retirement.
The money in the bank is to take care of you, not for your retirement. The $18,000 was to pay you back for the months that you had been denied disability while your appeal was pending. It's not your retirement. So based upon what I read in your complaint, so now we're understanding who we are talking to. So we're understanding that I understand you and you understand that I understand you. So you took this, according to your complaint, this $18,000, and you got a money order with $10,000 of the money. And you gave the money order to your daughter to hold for you. You didn't put it in a bank.
That's not correct.
Well, okay, just a second. Hold on. Maybe I'm wrong. Cashier's check.
She was supposed to put $5,000 of that $10,000 into a CD savings, and that never happened.
I got a $10,000 cashier's check made in Shelby's name. She was supposed to keep it in her safe until we could decide what to do with it. That's what you wrote here.
And we made a decision.
That's what you said.
Yes.
Right. We opened up a joint checking account and savings account with the remaining $8,000. That's what you wrote in here. So she was supposed to take the cashier's check for $10,000 and put it away so that nobody saw it. Given it to her. You didn't need a cashier's check. You could have given it to her. What was the difference between giving her a cashier's check and letting her put the money in the bank?
She was told to put $5,000 into an account. I have an agreement that is unsigned that Shelby wrote. These were our wishes. Together we agreed upon this. She did not follow any of these wishes. Now, unfortunately, the $5,000 was supposed to be put in CD savings. The other $5,000 was to be put into a savings account or a savings in her bank at home. And of the $18,000, I gave her $4,000 for her wedding. That was in June. I asked her if she needed any extra. She sure could have what she needs, but she has to pay it back. She's not paid it back, and she took all of it, because we wouldn't be here in court today if she hadn't taken it all.
You get a check every month?
Yes, I do, ma'am.
For how much?
$1,186.
And who do you live with?
I live alone.
Who is that?
That is my very best friend.
Where does he live?
He lives in the same building.
So the complaint is wrong?
Yes.
I mean, your complaint.
No, my complaint doesn't read that way that I saw.
Just a second. Could you show this down, please? That's a signature.
Yeah, but of that 8,000, 4,000 went to her wedding.
And?
Well, that's what I'm trying to explain. I did sign this, and it is right. However, there should, on my part.
Prior to May of 2016, when you went into rehab, I assume you were drinking.
Yes, ma'am, I was.
You were drinking sufficiently so that you went into rehab, right?
They did an intervention, and I was forced into it. I agreed to it.
Who did an intervention?
Shelby.
Is that right?
Yes, my family and I did.
So I would assume that the situation was difficult.
Yeah, it was very challenging.
Who took care of all of your bills prior to you going into rehab?
In the beginning, Shelby took care of my bills, but she paid them all late. So I took the bill paying back from her so that I would pay my own bills.
Did you take your mother's money?
No.
Did you take your mother's money?
No.
Did she give you a cashier's check?
Yeah, I have it right here. She was in the bank. She gave it to me. I held on to it for several months until we were supposed to decide what we were going to do. We mulled around lots of ideas. I never committed to anything because most of the time she wasn't sober. And then standing in her rehab in Scandia, Minnesota, sober as a dog, I hope, she told me, you can use as much as you need for the wedding. You do not need to worry about paying me back.
Great.
That is a lie.
Dismissed. We're done.
That is a lie.
We're done.
Judge, I do have a counterclaim.
And that's done, too.
Okay.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Thank you to your right, please.
You know, I just think it's sad that my mom finally did something motherly for me after all her years of... She had to, you know, go and counteract it like this.
Because it's my money. And it's supposed to be in my bank, not hers.
Well, I ended communication with her because she began drinking again.
For her to apologize. That's all I really want.
I think that she's upset about that. You know, I would be too, but life is life.
I don't give a crap about the money.
I've been asking myself that for 23 years.
I hope that someday she can see her error of her way.
Why I have to be her parent and why she can't be an adult and be mine.
She's never, no, she has not had to be the mother.
Well, I have no relationship with her and I have very little trust in almost everyone I meet.
It's broken it up quite a bit.
Stand up for yourself. Don't be afraid to...
My heart is very heavy for her.
Do what's right and know that you're not wrong and you don't have to be their parent.
I hope it'll work out. That's all I can say.
Time to go separate ways.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lewis versus Tully.
Christina Lewis is suing her daughter's former friend, 19-year-old Irene Tully, for money she loaned her while on vacation in Hawaii.
How old are you, Miss Tully?
19.
Do you work or go to school?
Both.
Where do you go to school?
Mesa Community College.
Full-time?
Part-time.
And what kind of work do you do?
I work at Starbucks.
Do you live at home or you have?
At home, yes.
Tully were friends?
Yes, ma'am.
And they had been friends for a long time?
Couple of years.
And she had accompanied you on family vacations before?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times?
This would have been the fourth, so 3 prior to this trip.
And she always paid for her own airfare?
When we flew, correct. Minus one time, I did pay for it one time.
When did you pay for that?
I believe it was a trip to New York.
From where?
Chandler, Arizona. But we fly out of Phoenix Sky
So
Harbor.
it was a long flight.
Yes, ma'am.
Where else did you go with Miss Tully?
California, Your Honor, twice. And then...
When you went to California, where did you stay?
Huntington Beach at a condo that I rented.
She paid her own airfare?
There was no airfare, we drove. And I did pay for the gas.
Yes, you have other children other than this daughter?
I do, I have a son.
And did he accompany you on the trip?
He did.
Ever have any difficulty with her before, with expense money, anything else that would have given you cause to pause about inviting her again?
No.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your daughter and Miss Tully had a fight. What was the argument about?
I did not want to be friends with her daughter anymore.
That must have been after something happened.
I just decided that I didn't want to be friends with her.
What happened after you came back from Hawaii?
Christina Lewis says her daughter's former friend, Irene Tully, owes for money loaned while on vacation.
Now, ever have any difficulty with her before, with expense money, anything else that would have given you cause to pause about inviting her again?
No.
And this case is about a trip that you all took, a family trip that you took to Hawaii. And Miss Tully was invited to go along. The arrangement was, according to you, that she would take care of her own airfare, which she did, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you book the tickets?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
And you paid for the tickets on your credit card?
Yes, Your Honor.
And she gave you money in cash to cover her ticket?
Yes. Her mother and father did.
You rented a hotel while you were in Hawaii?
Condominium.
A condo. How many bedrooms?
1.
And where did Miss Tully and your daughter sleep?
On the pull-out couch.
So they slept together. So
Yes.
she didn't have her own room, so she...
As well as another friend.
So there was no additional expense.
Correct.
With that. And food, how was that covered?
She was supposed to cover her own food.
Okay. And you brought money with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
How much money did you bring?
About $300.
How long were you going to be away for?
I believe it was 7 days, but we got stuck for an extra day, I believe.
Got stuck because of air?
Yeah, there was something with the weather flying out of Los Angeles, so we couldn't fly out from Hawaii to Los Angeles to get home.
Is that correct?
No, Your Honor. The trip was a 10 extra days, about a day and a half, so it became an 11-and-a-half-day trip.
Now, this lawsuit is all about the fact that your daughter and Miss Tully had a fight, an argument, it's falling out. When did you have that argument?
I believe it was in September.
September of last year?
Yes, Your Honor.
And when was the trip to Hawaii? In what month?
June.
When did it end?
July.
What was the argument about?
I did not want to be friends with
Why?
her daughter anymore.
Why?
Because I did not like the way that I was treated around them.
Like what? What do you mean?
There were just comments that were constantly made about the way that I lived my life and my family and the money that my mother earned, and I just did not want to be a part of it anymore.
And you told, what's Miss Lewis's daughter's name?
Bree.
Where did you have this discussion with her that you didn't want to be friends anymore?
I did not have a discussion with her. I unfollowed her on a social media.
That must have been after something happened, Miss Tully.
I just decided that I didn't want to be friends with her. She went away to college, and I stayed home for college. We didn't have any contact. We didn't talk.
What happened after you came back from Hawaii?
We talked maybe once or twice because I went out of town with my grandparents and stayed with them for about 3 or 4 weeks and then returned home for school.
During that 3 or 4 week period, did either Miss Lewis or Bree contact you about any money that you owed them?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Irene contacted me because we had already made a discussion about the money and her paying me back.
Was that in a phone conversation?
A text conversation, correct.
I'd like to see that.
Yes, ma'am.
That makes it easy.
Oh, is that not what I'm supposed to do?
Yeah.
She told me to. I'm really sorry. I apologize.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Christina Lewis says her daughter's former friend, Irene Tully, owes for money loaned while on vacation.
Now, what happened after you came back from Hawaii?
We talked maybe once or twice because I went out of town with my grandparents and stayed with them for about 3 or 4 weeks and then returned home for school.
During that 3 or 4 week period, did either Miss Lewis or Bree contact you about any money that you owed them?
No, Your Honor.
On what date did you unfriend her daughter?
I do not remember the exact date.
You remember the month?
I believe it was September. It could have been October, though. I'm not 100% sure, though.
Do you remember?
Yeah, it was in September. September 28th, I believe.
So now I'd like you to tell me, Miss Lewis, what you're suing her for is $375 because you say you went to some events while you were in Hawaii that you purchased tickets for, I don't know, dolphin shows or whatever else you paid for, and she was supposed to pay you back. I want you to requested the return of this money.
I did not request the return of the money first. Irene contacted me because we had already made a discussion about the money and her paying me back, and she did let me know that she was going to Rhode Island with her family, so she wouldn't be able to start working again until she got home. Therefore, she couldn't start making payments until she was working, and I understood that.
Was that in a phone conversation?
A text conversation, correct.
I'd like to see that.
Yes, ma'am.
That makes it easy.
Oh, is that not what I'm supposed to do?
Yeah.
She told me to. I'm really sorry. I apologize.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Well, you clearly knew before you went to Rhode Island that you owed her some money, because that's what it says here.
Okay, yeah, but I didn't... Okay. So we were supposed to go to Hawaii, and I was told...
Listen to me.
Okay.
You clearly knew based on this text, hey, I'm heading home from Rhode Island today, so can you send me what I owe you from Hawaii? That's what you wrote to her on Sunday, July 31st.
Okay.
So you clearly knew that you owed her some money. And at some point, she responds on August 10th, I added it together, and it was $375. And then you ask her for a breakdown. She gave you a breakdown. See why you might question.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, Did you go to a snorkel trip in a luau?
Yes, Your
Okay,
Honor.
so that's $125. You don't dispute that. She paid for it, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And you did go to see the sea lions?
Yes, Your Honor.
And she paid for that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I'm taking off $20 for food because that's ridiculous. What's a $25 baggage fee?
I'm not sure, Your Honor. I paid for my baggage.
Okay. What's the $25 baggage fee?
Ma'am, she paid for her baggage one way, not the other way. She couldn't afford it, so she asked me if I'd add it to her total, and I agreed to.
Do you recall that?
I do not, Your Honor.
Well, she does.
Okay.
And what is $25 yard house? What is that?
She was supposed to pay for her own food at meals out. I did try to make it easier on her because she was the only one that was struggling financially, so I went ahead and bought a lot of groceries at the grocery store and cooked many meals in the condo to save money.
So what is yard house?
It's a restaurant.
Do you remember the yard house?
Yes, Your Honor. I remember going to dinner there.
Okay. And did the plaintiff pay for that dinner?
Yes, Your Honor, but my meal was not $25.
I don't know what it was. Okay, so you acknowledge that there were certain expenses that you had, and I've taken some off that I actually can't justify. But that's still $250.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay?
Okay.
Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
Here's our excuse, man. Step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
No, I don't deny the fact that she paid for things. I just deny the fact that she asked for me to pay them back.
She's an emotional young lady. She cried quite a few times, complained about her finances.
I'm so thankful that I got to go and that my parents provided my airfare to go.
And I just didn't want that to be an issue. You don't get many vacations like this.
But I'm not happy that I went with them.
And I love doing for my family, so we were happy to do it.
She's just a really bad person, and she says things to people that don't need to be said to them.
I mean, she thinks I'm a terrible friend, but terrible friends don't bring you to Hawaii, so...
No, I did not want to be friends with her anymore.
Absolutely not.
I'm just very happy that it's over with and that I'll never have to see either of them again.
I hope that Irene starts to learn to be responsible and pay debts that she owes.
Was she able to pay her rent?
No, she could not make a monthly payments.
A single mom in a hot mess?
This person who had no cash paid for renter's insurance. And lo and behold, there was some sort of fiery smoke that damaged a whole bunch of... With no report to a fire department? Doesn't sound right to me. This is a world-class scam.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Lisa Hankins is suing her former landlords, Shannon and Laura Lastinger, for stealing insurance money.
Order. All rise. This is case number 30 on the calendar in the matter of Hankins versus Lastinger.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Fred, would you take the child outside,
Sure.
please?
Would you come with me, please?
Miss Hankins, who is this?
Matthew Lopez. He is my witness. He is now my roommate.
He's your witness to what?
Well, to an entire month in the apartment.
A what? Speak up.
He watched me in a fire damage, helped with the damage, and then also helped move me out.
Mm-hmm. What kind of premises did you rent to the plaintiff?
It's a small studio apartment that was attached to an extra building on our church property that at least 6+ years.
And when you say you remodeled a studio on church property, what do you have to do with the church property?
Our church, we have 70 acres of land, so we had an extra building that we used as a garage, also for our youth, a man cave, and so there was a section that we converted into a very nice studio apartment that I had planned to make that arrangement later when we were hoping to get a groundskeeper. It came up when Lisa was needing a place to stay.
How did you know she was needing a place to stay?
She was living with her parents, and she was complaining weekly to us about the conditions and the treatment that she was getting from her stepdad.
Do you know what she was doing for a living?
Working at Family Dollar.
Do you know what she was doing there?
She started out as a cashier clerk, and since the last year or so, she was promoted to assistant manager.
When did she move into this studio that you renovated for her?
She would have moved in February of 2015.
And were you charging her rent?
Yes.
How much?
$500 a month.
Was she able to pay her rent?
No, she could not make a monthly payment, so the arrangement we had came to that when she got her tax check, she had $5,000 for 2015. So she gave the entire $5,000 and prepaid her rent for the first 10 months of the year, which allowed us to do the work to make the apartment livable. And so she gave the $5,000, we fixed it up, she moved in, she had no rent for 10 months. And then at the next year to catch up what she was behind and pay as much in advance as she could for the next year.
So when did she give you the tax check?
Soon as she got
Month and year?
February 2015, and then again February 2016. And she paid in cash, Your Honor.
She paid what in cash?
Her rent, when she gave the $5,000, she gave $5,000 in cash.
And she did all of this because she didn't have money. She had herself and her daughter, so she didn't have money to pay you rent. So she waited to get her tax check, and she got her tax check, and she went to some sort of a bank and got cash to give to you.
To the church.
It gets better. This person who had no cash took out renter's insurance, had no money to pay her rent, paid renter's insurance, and lo and behold, there was some sort of fiery smoke that damaged a whole bunch of your property. And I want you to tell me when this fiery smoke was.
Well, I report...
Just a second.
Oh, go ahead.
Month and year.
It would have been, it was reported to insurance December 15th of 2016.
Is when there was a fire. That's when your $5,000 before. So then you were up to January, right? And then you would have to have paid another $5,000, right? Because she wasn't paying any rent. She was just giving you every February $5,000 in cash when she got her tax refund. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, what I would like to see is when you first took out and paid for renter's insurance, month and year. Don't look confused. It's a very simple question. I want to see when you took out the rent insurance policy, because somebody has renter's insurance and you've lived there for a couple of years, you would have taken the renter's insurance out for several years, right? So now I want to see the policy when it started.
Well, okay, now I do not have the starting date of...
Oh, well, we're going to get that.
Yes.
We're going to get the date that your policy started, the date that you applied for renter's insurance.
December.
Let's start with the year.
2016.
So you didn't have renter's insurance in 2015 when you lived there? No. You got renter's insurance in 2016.
Correct.
Right. Did you get it in the beginning of 2016 or the end of 2016?
Truly, it was December.
Or November, right before this smoke damaged your property. Now, do you have an arson report?
No.
Do you have a fire damage report?
We brought in a restoration company which hired...
That's not what I'm asking you, sir. When you have a suspicious, because you don't know where it started, right?
Yes.
So you would have to call in the fire department and find out where all this started. Do you have a report?
My insurance company sent the fire inspector.
Listen to me. This is a world-class scam. If the insurance company paid you for any damage, I mean, you really have to be stupid, because I read this thing before I even looked at you folks and asked one question. I said to myself, I betcha this lady didn't have insurance until right before there was damage. That would be you.
That is correct.
Right. And here's a lady that didn't have money to pay rent. So what she did, according to this one, who was probably a co-conspirator in this whole thing, is she paid him in cash, allegedly, from her income tax return. So she's paid up for 2015. She's paid up for 2016. But in February of 2017, she has to give him another $5,000 or start paying rent. So you know what happened? Insurance. A month before, she had thousands of dollars worth of smoke damage to her property. Does that sound right to you? No. Doesn't sound right to me. So we're going to find out exactly when you took out the renter's insurance. And I would like to see the reports that you filed with the insurance company.
Okay, I have all of these.
And how much money did you get?
There was 2 claims. The church has a policy that covers all of our property and our buildings. And so
but you didn't have any damage to the church.
Yes, ma'am.
Where?
The way the insurance company broke it up was her renters covered her furniture, her appliances, her dishes, her clothes, the structure policy.
Just a second. with no report to a fire department? She had all that damage, and what did the church suffer? Sir, in what location did the church suffer damage?
In that location, that apartment.
Just a second. Only in her apartment?
Correct.
Not any place else?
Correct.
Yeah, good. Do me a favor. Go fight with each other someplace else. Not here. I don't believe it. I don't buy it. I think it's a huge scam.
Amen.
I'm not sure whether you were both involved in it, but I know the insurance company got taken for a ride because how much money did they give you?
$12,000.
Ah, get done.
Excuse me, step out.
Now I have to go and replace all my stuff, and I have nowhere to live.
All the work she's claiming, the money, was for her personal items.
No, I am not thankful. I am absolutely furious.
We were just looking for things to be worked out, but God knows the truth, and so we're okay. We're happy.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of McGrew, Barbaros versus Niles. Step forward.
Dennis McGrew is suing Morgan Max Niles for unauthorized use of his money.
Where's Nancy? Would you stand up, please? Mr. McGrew, you have a cabin.
He doesn't hear well. You have a cabin. This is regarding the cabin.
Are you his mate?
Yes.
Okay, well, then let me deal with you.
Okay.
Mr. McGrew has a cabin, and he wanted to remodel the cabin. The two of you decided to hire the defendant to do that. You gave him 2 credit cards, one from a fix-it shop and one from a Home Depot. You also asked him to take your son with him when he went up to the cabin. Is that correct?
Grandson.
It's a grandson?
Yes, ma'am.
So he took your grandson with not only your approval, but you thought it would be a good idea, whether you asked him or not. Okay. He went up to the cabin. The claim is that he misused the credit cards. He has a counterclaim. He said he did most of the work. What was the contract price that you made with him for doing the cabin?
I'm so glad you asked.
Just answer my question.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Is that the way you left it?
Yes, sir. It was the reason why I left it that way, because she kicked me off the job due to the fact that I brought her grandson's girlfriend, and she despises her because she's a dictator.
I don't care about that. Does this face look like Phil's?
No.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Dennis McGrew claims Morgan Max Niles owes for unauthorized use of his money regarding the renovation of a cabin.
Just answer. I said, what's the contract price?
There was no agreement. He was to go up there and get an idea, communicate back, and give us a proposal. That never happened.
That's not true.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right to me at all.
At all.
At all, because he went up there, you gave him the credit cards in order to do that, and according to Mr. McGrew, transferred $1,700 to vendors. Well, that wasn't done with the intention of him coming back to give you a proposal. If that's the case, then you had no contract with him. Then if you gave him the credit cards, you gave him the credit cards. Whatever he spent on the credit cards was his. So let's not play cute with each other. Well, then, if you didn't have a contract with him, he says that the work he did for you in his counterclaim was $3,500 for work completed and not paid for. And if you didn't pay him, and if you didn't have a contract, then we apply the rules of quantum merit, which means he gets what he can show me he did in the cabin. And if he was there for a week, and if he hauled loads of trash, and if he painted part of the cabin, then he's going to get paid. Do you understand?
I understand.
Great. Now, the only thing that I'm actually interested in with regard to the credit cards, because you gave him credit cards to use. Do you understand that, Mr. McGrew? You gave him credit cards to use.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. But there is an allegation here, Mr. Niles, that you bought merchandise at Home Depot. You returned that merchandise, and instead of crediting it back to the Home Depot credit card, you took it in cash cards and put it in your pocket.
That is not true, Your Honor.
Did you return merchandise to Home Depot?
Yes, I did.
Did you have them credit the credit card?
Yes, I did.
Great.
That's the only way to get credit. Back on the card that you purchased the items with.
Fine.
Went right back on the card.
So now that's what I'm interested in with the credit card. So now you show me where he returned the items, which he said he did, and got cash cards for it instead of putting it back on your credit card.
Can I share with you?
No. What you could do is show me proof that he returned items to Home Depot, and instead of getting credit, he got cash cards. And if he got cash cards, I will assume that he put them in his pocket. Do you have that proof?
I will have to defer to Erica. She's got all the...
Fine. Erica is who?
I paid $6,000 worth of bills. She's got the receipts.
Listen, I don't care. That's all I want.
We did have a contract, Your Honor.
No, we did not.
There's a written contract with the Do It Center with the credit card for the use of it.
Would you please just show me what I asked you for?
Yes.
And let's do it quickly. All I want to see is where he returned items to Home Depot and got cash cards.
There is none because I didn't do that.
Just a second. If she doesn't have it, she doesn't have it.
Yes.
There's one of them.
Or did you have her circle what she wants me to look at there?
Some of the returns right there.
The returns and credit card.
It's got the credit. It's the credit card with the credit.
With
the credit. But it says, if you look at it, it says payment reversals. They gave the payment back, but it didn't go to the card.
Can I see what she's talking about? I actually don't suggest that he returned items and got, in effect, cash for it.
It was the Do It Center.
Your complaint, which he has to answer, says he charged several purchases on the Home Depot card, immediately returned them, and was given the return balance on a gift card instead of having the balance go back on the credit card. That's all I want to see proof of.
I don't
have that. Fine.
No, what you're saying is that's not what we submitted. It was the Do It Center we had a contract with.
It's not happening for you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They have no proof that what you did was return items and pocket the cash.
He spent $5,000 on groceries and gas and tools, etc., etc.
I don't care.
I know you don't care, but I said it.
I don't.
I got it out.
Care.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Dennis McGrew claims Morgan Max Niles owes for unauthorized use of his money regarding the renovation of a cabin.
Now, you have an awful lot of paperwork there. It's not happening for you. Can I see photographs of the cabin inside now?
She has photos. I have no photographs.
Why not?
The work I did. Well, I took pictures, but I don't know why they didn't come through on my telephone.
Again,
witness that has and was there that's seen the work.
Just a second. I don't want a witness that's going to describe it to me. I want to see photographs. Do you have
No,
the
I don't have any photographs.
Does the witness have photographs?
No.
Okay, then I'm not interested. What's wrong with these pictures?
There's a couple of pictures after we finished it, or we did the work.
No,
and there's
what
a
I
couple
want
of
to
pictures
see,
prior.
What I want to see is the work that you're complaining about that he didn't finish.
Right here.
There it is. He didn't do that.
Let me see.
We did that. I don't have pictures of anything he did. I only have pictures of the way
it was left.
We found it.
When you went back up there?
Correct.
Yes.
After he left there with your grandson?
Correct. And a couple of those pictures is the work that we're doing.
Shh. Is that the way you left it?
Yes, there was the reason why I left it that way, because she kicked me off the job due to the fact that I had somebody up there, brought somebody up with her grandson's girlfriend, and she despises her because she's a dictator, and she wants to tell you who could be around and whatnot.
I don't care about that. Does this face look like Phil's?
No.
I don't care about that.
But that's why...
I don't care about that.
That's why it was left.
You don't have any proof for me of what work you did in the cabin to support your counterclaim for $3,500.
The only proof I have is a witness that was there with me doing...
There because, allegedly, according to you, he had a drug problem.
Yes.
And he thought it would be good for him.
Yes.
Right. And he went up there and he said to you, can I bring my girlfriend with me?
Yes.
And you said, okay.
Yes.
Well, and how old is he?
He's 23.
You don't get paid for that. You don't get paid for this, sir.
Yeah,
because according to your counterclaim...
I understand that, but the pile was 3 times as big as that.
According to your counterclaim,
I took 6 loads to the dump.
According to your you took what?
6 loads to the dump. And those were loads going to the dump also.
The cabin's 800 square feet.
Yeah, the outside, the backyard, the side yard, the front yard.
All I want to know from you, Mr. Niles, is they have no case because they have no proof that what you did was return items and pocket the cash. You said deal with her. I was dealing with her.
Oh, that's only on the return items. He spent $5,000 on groceries and gas and handyman stuff and tools, etc., etc.
And I gave her all the receipts.
My
everything
Citibank
that I
card
spent her money
was $1,861, not counting the $17 cash because you can't use credit in Big Bear, and $2,125 for Home Depot.
I don't care.
I know you don't care, but I said it.
I don't.
I got it
don't
out.
care.
Judge Judy, sponsored by.
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, all I care about is when you give somebody a credit card and say, here's the credit card from Home Depot. You don't have a credit limit. You don't tell them what to do. You say, go and get what you need, do what you need, and he does it. That's your problem.
He
but
had
if you
worked
say
for me many times before, and I gave him credit cards, he gave me a proposal, and he was going to go up there in case we come to an agreement, either I sell the property or we agree that you fix it. He was going to these places to get estimates to put the proposal together.
We're done unless you can show me where he returned merchandise and pocketed the cash. Can you do that?
I cannot do that.
Then we're done. Thank you.
What about my countersuit on this?
Did you see a picture of what you left?
No, I didn't have any pictures. But the work was done.
Bird.
I have a witness.
Picture.
Okay.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
He just went hog wild with my credit cards.
She is senile.
Yeah, I kept getting these phone calls and these alerts saying, my goodness, somebody's on a spending spree.
She gave me her cards to go do a job. I've been her carpenter for... Everything's all good.
You knew that you were behind in payments on the car.
I knew I owed to the son.
Right.
This repo man was just doing his job.
He had authorization to take your car.
He never identified who he was.
The side of his truck says Northwest Recovery.
But he had more than the car in tow.
He stood on the running board. I put the vehicle on drive, and he grabbed onto the steering wheel, and then we had smacked into a car.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Tommy Burns is suing tow truck driver Edward Kimball for vandalism to his car and false charges of assault.
Order. All rise. Yeah, it's case number 318 on the calendar in the matter of Burns versus Kimball. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Burns, this is your complaint. You had purchased a car.
Yes.
You were behind in the payments.
Yes.
Mr. Kimball owns a tow truck, and it is his job on behalf of lending institutions to repossess property that has not been paid for, or in your house.
Yes, in front of my house.
And this was September 25th last year. Neighbor came to you in your house and said, someone's taking your car. You got outside and you saw Mr. Kimball in his tow truck down the street with your car attached.
No.
Tell me where you saw his car.
I observed Mr. Kimball at the end, like a block away on the passenger side of my car, removing items. At the same time, I was talking to the police when the neighbor had came and got me. I live in a high-crime neighborhood area, and first thing she said, it's a black tow truck, and they took your car and went and rode off.
So the car was attached to the tow truck?
Yes.
That's what I said.
Yes.
Now, at the time, you knew that you were behind in payments on the car.
Actually, I had spoken with the guy who...
At the time, you were behind in payments on the car. You acknowledge it.
Yes, I knew I owed to something.
Right. So an intelligent man would know that if you were behind in payments on the car, they may come and get it. Not definitely, but they may come and get it. Well, that was what he was hired for. Who hired you to do this job?
Northwest Repossession.
Do you know who hired Northwest Repossession?
The company would be Quality Auto Sales.
Did you buy your car at Quality Auto Sales?
Yes.
Well, they're the people that hired his company to get their property back. So tell me what.
At the end of the block, removing items, I caught him on the passenger side of my car. At the same time, I was talking to 911 because I figured my car was being stolen. I had spoke to the person who I previously bought the car from, and everything was fine.
I don't believe that, and you don't have that person here.
Okay.
Okay, because the person that you bought the car from hired his company to repossess your car.
Okay, at the same time...
Okay. So now, just tell me what you did.
Okay, I talked to the police. I asked him who was he. He never identified who he was.
Just a second. I want to know what you did. You ran to the end of the block where he was.
No, we drove to the end of the block, and I observed him.
Who drove?
My wife did.
So your wife drove in her car?
Yes.
To the end of the block, and then what did you do?
I was on the phone with 911, and I told them that I see the guy right there.
Just a second. I didn't ask you what you told anybody.
Okay, I didn't do
what
anything. I approached him and asked him who was he.
Just a second. So you approached him?
Yes.
Where was he when you approached him?
The passenger side of the car.
And what did he say to you?
He didn't say anything. He just got up and ran around to the driver's side of the tow truck. And by me living in a high-crime neighborhood area, if he would have told me who he was, the situation would have been ended. He didn't identify himself or who he was or who had sent him. It's normally known in my neighborhood. I just live in Chicago. Cars on tow trucks and driving off. You never find your car again. I asked him who was he. He never identified himself in a professional manner. So I proceeded to talk to the police. I'm like, he right here. He tried to run around and jump in the car. When he jumped in the tow truck, he tried to close the door, and I'm like, he never identified. I'm like, who are you? I'm steady asking him, who is he? He never said anything. So I'm telling the police, next thing I know, he put the truck in drive and almost hit me with the tow truck, so I had to grab on to the handle. It's a safety bar on the side of the tow truck. When he drove off, like in a high rate of speed. So I wasn't finna let him get out of my sight because he never identified himself. I feel if he would have identified himself.
I know that you said that already. What I'm hearing is, and reading,
yes,
that you wrote, you jumped on the sideboard.
Yes.
Okay, you jumped on the sideboard and held onto the sideboard.
Yes.
And he was driving off.
Yes.
At a high rate of speed.
Yes.
And then what happened?
He veered on the south side of the street, crashing into some parked cars with me stuck in between the doors.
Now you tell me your version, because we'll get to what the lawsuit is about, because he filed charges against you for assault.
Yes.
You say that they were false. Now he's going to tell me his version of the events. Go.
Hi, Your Honor.
Okay, you were hired, that's your job, to repossess property that hasn't been paid for.
Correct.
You got an order to pick up his car.
Correct. About 7 blocks away, I secured the vehicle.
How many blocks away from his house?
About 7 blocks.
Go ahead.
So as I was securing the vehicle to my tow truck, Mr. Burns came up to me, and he was very defensive.
Don't tell me what you thought about his posture.
Okay. He asked me, what were you doing? What are you doing?
And what did you say?
I said, sir, your car's up for repossession. He said, the car's not up for repossession. He got aggressive, started coming towards me. I backed up. I kept backing up, and I went in my truck. He said, put the vehicle down before I beat your, excuse my language. I told him I can't put the vehicle down until I close the door. He did not want to hear that. He stood on the running board. I put the vehicle on drive because it was already secure. I started driving at a slow speed. And he had grabbed onto the steering wheel, and then we had smacked into a car. Prior to this, before he had jumped on a running board, he hit me in my side about 2 or 3 times.
Where was he when he hit you in your side?
He's standing on the running board of the truck.
Okay, so he's standing on the running board of the truck, and you're inside the truck.
Correct, I'm sitting.
And he's standing on the running board.
Correct.
And how did he hit you?
He punched me to the side, so like in my ribs. So if I'm sitting here right now, and he's standing right here, he would hit me in my side.
Where was the car that he drove up in?
I have no idea, Your Honor.
You didn't see a car?
Well, he was parked in the street in the city streets, so every car is parallel parking. There's tons of...
From his house, he said his wife drove. See her?
When he approached, there was a female in the car, yes.
Did you see what she was doing as this was going on?
She was just sitting in the vehicle.
Now, when you say you secured the vehicle, what do you have to do to secure the vehicle?
You have to put a safety chain on the vehicle, so the vehicle, when you drive away, it doesn't fall off. So for safety
But you
features,
did, in fact, drive it away a certain...
Yes.
You said a few blocks.
Correct.
How was it attached to the tow truck then?
Well, because when you pick the vehicle up, it has claws, a mechanism that sits where the tires are. So it sits on the tow truck. You can continue to drive away, but you go to a certain distance to secure it. This way, when you're on the highway or something, you know, if the car, if it was to fall off, it's not going to hit somebody or et cetera.
Okay. So then you stopped, when you felt it was safe, you stopped to secure it.
Correct.
Do you have a police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. And do you have the work order to pick up the car?
Yes, I do.
I'd also like to take a look at that. Do you have any other police report?
No, this is all they gave me, ma'am.
Do you have any police report?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
Your Honor, may I say something?
Yes.
Left in the ambulance because I was injured, and when I got there, they signed me out, and they came with that charge that he talking about that I hit him. That's what the officer said. Not the police officer, but the sergeant, because the other officers was like, man, we didn't even have time for this. You know, you should have left the scene. That's what the black officers, they was just saying all type of observed.
Just a second. Don't tell me what anybody said to you,
Okay.
Mr. Burns.
Okay.
You were wrong.
Nah.
You were wrong.
No,
He
ma'am.
had authorization to take, just pay attention.
Okay.
He had authorization to take your car. You had no business. You had no business to get on the running board of his truck to endanger him, other people that may be out there. I know you're shaking your head no. I know you're shaking your head no. Bottom line is, he had the right to have possession of your car. That's what this order says. He had the right to have possession of your car. You had no right to take control of his car by getting on the running board. And because you did that, you caused an accident.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If someone took your car...
Are you asking me what I would do? Would I say to my husband, jump in the car, we're going to go confront this thief? Would I say that? Not on a good...
And later today...
How much of a deposit did she give to you?
She initially sent $200, and our deposits are $400. Instead of sending another $200, she sent $300. So we received a deposit
Would you just tell me?
of $500 in 2 separate checks.
I don't care whether it was...
All right.
She sent it to you in wampum.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Tommy Burns says tow truck driver Edward Kimball vandalized his car during repossession and falsely charged him with assault. Edward is countersuing for lost wages and pain and suffering.
Now, he had a lawful order to take possession of your car. You did not have any right to get on his tow truck. You had no right to do that. And when you did it, whether he was injured, whether he was punched, is relevant. But you caused a situation that endangered not only his life, but yours or other people in the street, because what happened was you crashed. And you crashed because of your actions.
No, ma'am.
Oh, well, I say yes, you say no. I'm telling you, that's the law. You had no right to put your feet on, stop him. You had no right to do that. He had a right to take your car, and you had no right to try to take control of that tow truck. You had no right.
Your Honor, can I say something? If the guy would have identified where he came from or let me know who he was, I live in a high-crime neighborhood. If someone's taking your car...
You keep saying that.
Can I just say this? If someone took your car, and then you see them a block away from your home, and you saying,
"Are you asking me? Are you asking me what I would do? Would I say to my husband,
the police.
jump in the car, we're going to go confront this thief?
Yeah.
Would I say that?
Oh,
no. Not on a good day, not if I took my meds. No, you're on the phone with the police. You say, there's a black tow truck that just took my car. Here's my car's license plate. Here's the license plate number of the truck that just took my car. And you let the police do their job. But the bottom line is, you can say whatever you want. He had a right to take your car, and you had no right to get on his. And you caused an accident, and you don't get rewarded for that. Were you treated for any injuries?
No, Your Honor.
Do you have pictures of the accident?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at them.
Also, may I just add one more thing? I was never given an accident report or put in the accident. They never said I caused the accident or anything.
I just told you you caused an accident.
Oh, okay.
You got the ultimate.
Okay.
The The side of his truck says Northwest Recovery, Inc. What do you think that means?
I didn't know what
With his license number.
I didn't know what it meant because I wasn't.
Well, let's think of what you know. You know you missed payments. You know what the word recovery means. They're coming to recover their property.
Yes, but if I would have got a letter saying that it was anything, I never received anything saying I was behind.
It's somebody else's fault. Mr. Burns, you have no case. Your case is dismissed, sir. You have no proof that any injuries that you allegedly sustained, but you weren't treated for, caused you to miss work?
Yeah.
No, it was court cases, Your Honor. It went to court, and it was continued and continued and continued due to missing...
You have to show me that you weren't paid for those. Weren't you paid for those days you went to court?
No, I was not.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
You have proof that you weren't paid?
No.
We're done here. We're done.
Yeah, parties are excused. You may step out.
If he would have identified himself, it wouldn't even led to that, man.
He knew exactly what I was doing.
Man, I thought he was gonna kill me.
No, I mean, how do you identify yourself? I mean, I'm in a tow truck. A tow truck says recovery.
Man, I wasn't notified.
No, just pay your bills. We won't have to do it.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of
St. John is suing Jan Stewart for the return of her deposit for a Piradoodle puppy.
Miss Stewart, I'm going to start with you. What kind of dogs do you breed?
Piradoodles.
What are
That
they?
is Standard Poodle and Great Pyrenees.
When did you take a deposit on a puppy from Miss St. John?
In February of this year.
And you took a deposit for a puppy that at that time was not born?
Yes, we entered into a verbal agreement.
Just a second. You took a deposit on a puppy that was yet to be born?
Your Honor, yes, that's true.
And the gestation period on your dog is 63 days. Is that correct?
Gestation is typically 65 to 68 days.
And you took the deposit in February?
Yes.
Just answer my questions. I know exactly where I'm going.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You have to give her money back.
Well, I'm not going to do that.
Oh, yeah, you have to give her. That's why we're here. That's why we're here.
That's told what her there are no refunds, and
well,
she
that's
will get
too
a
bad.
puppy.
I don't care what you told her. Then you're a scammer.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Darlene St. John is suing Jan Stewart for the return of her deposit for a Piradoodle puppy.
Now, you took a deposit. Let's say you tried to breed your dog in February. February, March, that means sometime around the beginning of April, you would have had a litter.
That's true.
You didn't.
We did not.
Then if you tried to breed her again sometime.
I would like to clarify that we have two moms.
Just a second. She picked one. You discussed with her, and she discussed with you, having a puppy from a particular dog, whose name is?
Song.
Song.
No, I guarantee a puppy. I never guarantee from a particular litter.
Listen, I bought puppies from breeders. I select the mother. I select the stud. I give a deposit. That usually, it sometimes takes up to 3 months. But no breeder says, I have many dogs, so you want to be on a wait list, you have to give me a deposit. And sometimes it can take 65 days, and sometimes it can take 365 days. In your case, it's closer now to 365 days.
For that mother.
So unless,
and I do want her to have a puppy from the mother she wants to have it from.
Well, that's, just a second, that's the one she selected. She selected Song. I assume you saw them on the internet?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was your arrangement. Now, how much of a deposit did she give to you?
She initially sent $200, and our another $200, she sent $300. So we received a deposit totally of $500.
You received a $500
in 2 separate checks.
I don't care whether it was she sent it to you in wampum. You have $500 of her money. Is Song expecting?
Yes.
When?
She will be delivering in about a month.
I don't
so
believe
she's about
you.
halfway through.
I don't, unless you can prove that to me, then I'm telling you I don't believe you. Then you gave me the answer that you prove that to me.
I don't believe I can. I have pictures of her previous litters.
No, I don't care about her previous litters. I care about a vet statement, an x-ray showing that she is actually carrying a litter of puppies because she's got a $500 deposit with you. And so far she's been waiting 9 months. And that's an outrageous amount of time. Because you're not out any money. You're not out any money. You didn't promise these puppies to anybody else. As far as I know, you take deposits of $500 from people and hold their money and say, eventually you'll get a puppy. It could be this year, it could be next year, it could be 20 years from now. I take your deposit, you don't get a refund on your deposit, and we have February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, 10 months later. There's still no life in being, still no puppy in being. So you have to give her her money back.
Well, I'm not going to do that.
We have no refund. We're here.
That's told what her there are no refunds, and
well,
she
that's
will get
too
a
bad.
puppy.
I don't care what you told her. Then you're a scammer.
Absolutely not. Everyone is happy, and everyone always gets a puppy.
Then you are a scammer.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by.
Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, what happens if Song, who you've tried to breed now for 10 months, You've tried to breed, and you right now you can't prove to me that she's pregnant. You've tried to breed. What happens if she unfortunately can't become pregnant anymore? You telling me you keep the deposit and you're out of luck?
She will have a puppy.
That's not what I asked you. She chose Song. She chose a puppy from that litter. And right now, as far as I know, and you have no proof to the contrary, she's waited 10 months. And as far as I know, Song can't have any more puppies. Maybe she developed a blocked something that she can't have any more puppies, which suggests to me that if we follow your way of thinking, she gave me a deposit, it's non-refundable. I was hoping to give her a puppy. Unfortunately, Song couldn't have any puppies. So I have her money and she gets nothing. Well, that's ridiculous.
There was
it's
no
not good
guaranteed
business.
time frame.
It's not good business. We're done.
Excuse me, you may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Some get clever.
It's the story. I'm sticking to it.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
Others get hostile.
I'm going to tell you what happened.
Judge Judy gets the last word.
They don't keep me here because I'm gorgeous. They keep me here because I'm smart.
There was no time frame discussed.
I kind of knew in May I was getting scammed.
Everyone's very happy, and some people have waited some time for the right puppy.
I have MS, and I needed a service dog.
She never mentioned anything about a service dog, and then she brought that in.
If you're going to get a dog and you need a dog, especially service dogs, do your homework.
You may love them, she doesn't.
4 little pigs create one big mess.
Her pigs come in and destroy your garden, your property.
But her neighbor says, in a pig's eye.
Your defense is that somebody else's pigs did it.
Yeah, they were not mine. Mine are panned. I have police reports also where she admits they're hers.
She says that they bite, they're annoying. Don't smile. Smiling is stupid and irresponsible.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Kelly Broniker for destruction of her property caused by Kelly's pigs.
Order. All rise. Yeah, it's case number 331 on the calendar in the matter of Taylor versus Broniker.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Ms. Taylor, you and the defendant are neighbors.
Yes, ma'am.
And you live in a rural kind of community.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that the defendant has pigs.
Yes.
Big pigs or little pigs?
I think they were supposed to be small pigs, but they ended up big. They weigh at least 100 pounds, if not more each.
You have pigs?
Yes, I do.
How many?
4.
And did you buy them as small as?
2 of them, yes. 2 others we have rescued from other people that no longer wanted them, and we took them in.
And they weigh about 100 pounds?
Absolutely not.
How much they weigh?
30 pounds for the smaller ones, and maybe the larger one 50. Your Honor, I have pictures if you'd like to see.
I would. So you have 4. You say the smaller one is 30 and one is 50. Well, that's 2 pigs. And the others?
I said the larger one's around 50. Two
larger ones are 50, and the smaller ones?
Around 30.
So somebody bought them as little tiny pot-belly pigs, little tiny things, and they grew to be 50 pounds. They say, we didn't bargain for this.
Absolutely, that happens a lot.
Yeah, so you have 4, and it is your property and whatever.
Yes, ma'am.
And she says it was somebody else's pigs. That's your response?
Absolutely.
So it was somebody
they were
else's
not
pigs.
mine.
Okay. Now, pigs usually grow up to be 300 pounds. So even a 30-pound pig or a 50-pound pig is a relatively small pig.
Yes.
Now, you live in a rural community. How long have you lived there?
16 years.
Give me the names of anybody within a 3-mile radius to where you live that keeps small pigs, 30 pounds. Give me a name.
I don't know any other people
who
by
keep
name.
Small. Well, that would be unfortunate. If you've lived there for 16 years and you're in the business of rescuing pigs and keeping these small pigs, you would know other people who had small pigs. Now, there may be people who had big pigs, you know, who cute. But you would know anybody else who had small pigs, because I see, I'm smart. I see there's a video that I'm going to be shown, and I would assume it's not your video.
No, it's not.
So I would assume a video of relatively small pigs, not big pigs, but relatively small pigs on her property. Okay. Your defense is that somebody else's pigs did it.
Yeah, they were not mine. Mine are panned.
Okay, very good. I'm ready to see the video. Video taken, Miss Taylor.
It was actually taken on several dates. Her pigs were on my property. This has been an ongoing issue since July. This was taken in October, a couple of dates, incidences where the pigs were in my yard and playground area. These are the pigs in my playground area. They're now destroying my playground. Oh, look, that one's getting up the liner and eating my mulch. That one's rooting over here, destroying my playground.
Well, I see them in relation to the chair, so they're small pigs.
October 21st, here are 4 of Kelly Broniker's pigs in my yard yet again.
Well, they're the same pigs.
Yes, ma'am. Eating my grass, and they bite. If you can't see where they've dug up my yard, let me see if I can zoom in. You see all that? That's where these big pigs are destroying my property. This is the 4th time I've had to call the police, and the 7th time I've asked Kelly Broniker to please take care of her animals that bite. Tonight's our Halloween party. Do you see any kids outside playing? No, because I have pigs in my yard that bite.
Okay, what do you want?
I have pictures of my pigs that I own, and she has not contacted me 7 times.
Just a second.
Okay.
I'd like to see a picture of the pigs that you own.
I can actually show you.
Just a second. I would like to see a picture of the pigs that she owns. No. This is when you got the pig. No. I want to see them now. That's not what they are.
I just wanted to show you.
No. You want to show me. You want to show me what they look like now. Don't show me when they look like when you bought them.
There is another. There's pictures of large pigs in there as an adult.
I don't want to see large pigs. I want to see the picture of your pigs now.
Excuse me. There is one in there.
Oh, well, that's absolutely one of the pigs that was on her property.
I don't think so.
Oh, I think so. I think so. Oh, I think so. I think so. Okay. Now, may I see any bills that you have with regard to regard to the damage that was done by her pigs?
I have 2 estimates, actually. One for the price of sodding my yard, which is more expensive, and then one just for seeding.
I'm going to suggest, Ms. Broniker, I'm going to suggest that if you want to keep these animals, that you put a very safe pen from which they cannot escape, because they're annoying. You may love them. She doesn't. She says that they bite. They're annoying. They've ripped up her property. Responsible.
Ma'am, I have police reports also where she admits they're hers.
When the police come out, what do they tell you?
Basically, we don't have animal control.
I got it. So I got it. You don't have animal control.
They have gotten, I think, 24 citations, and then they also have health department citations. It's in the police report.
May I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am. For the pigs biting my neighbor, which is why my kids can't play.
May I see it, please?
Sure.
I would
mean,
like to respond to.
If you're smiling.
No, I would like to respond.
Go ahead.
One, our pigs are penned. They do not bite, and I did show a picture of the pigs with children so that you can see that they are safe around children. They do not bite, and they are penned. She did call the police. She never contacted me.
Listen to me carefully. Those were your little pigs in her backyard.
I respectfully disagree with that.
Well, that's why we're here.
Yes, ma'am.
She did not contact
Don't speak
me
now.
7
Now I'm
times.
reading. Who's Kathy?
She's my neighbor also.
So she also complained?
Yes, ma'am.
She also had damage?
Yes, ma'am. The neighbor across the street as well, which Ms. Broniker and her husband are repairing themselves. I don't really want them on my property, so I refuse to do that.
In what state do you reside?
Indiana. I also have Facebook messages where Ms. Broniker tells me
they sometimes have wild things. First of all, she says they're not her pigs.
So they're feral.
Well, just a second. Well, if they're not her pigs and they bite, maybe they're wild pigs.
Yes, ma'am.
And if they're wild pigs that bite and you have children and they've been repeatedly on your property, I don't know what the law is in Indiana where you live, but perhaps you should look into it. Do you get it?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
can stand there and be smug all that you like, but right now we have you on tape and you are saying, along with your husband, that these are not your pigs.
That is correct.
Your pigs are penned, so therefore they must be wild pigs that bite. That's what she says. They're not my pigs because my pigs don't bite. I sound like a Peter Sellers movie. But do you know what people do rurally?
They keep them in pens.
No, they kill them.
Oh, I am.
If a wild animal comes on your property that doesn't belong to anybody, as you say, these don't belong to you.
They don't.
And they have been known to bite and to injure, aside from creating havoc on the property, the owner of that property, who has gone to the authorities and says they bite, kids can't play outside, and they're wild and not yours, may take to doing something drastic. So if you like these pigs, I would suggest that you do something that are on her property aren't your pigs, because they'll end up on somebody's Thanksgiving dinner plate.
I understand.
Do you
that.
understand that?
I do understand.
Good.
that.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. We're done here.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't feel like there was proof provided that those were my pigs.
I am so excited. I am so glad that Judge Judy saw through her nonsense.
Actually, all of this could have been avoided had the
These neighbors have been so ridiculous, so I'm glad someone else sees that.
plaintiff contacted me personally instead of calling the police.
I did. She told me not to contact her anymore, and she told me that we live in the country, and so there are no laws to govern keeping her animals penned up.
I know my pigs are penned.
I wish they were. If they were, we wouldn't be here.
They're in pens, I promise.
Thank you so much, Judge Judy. I knew you would see through her.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Crowley versus Smithies. Step forward.
Larry Crowley is suing Linda Smithies for the return of a boat trailer.
Mr. Crowley, a friend of yours had a boat, and he gave you permission to sell the boat. The boat was stored where? At your yard?
The boat was stored at a storage facility in Clackamas, Oregon on Highway 212.
And on what date did you make an agreement to sell Miss Smithies the boat?
That would have been...
You find this boat for sale.
Mr. Crowley had a boat top for sale on Craigslist.
Okay, so you advertised it?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, great. Okay. And you went, you saw it, and you negotiated a price, and you bought it. What was the purchase price?
Ma'am, the boat was not advertised for sale, just a boat top she came to buy from me.
But ultimately she bought the boat?
Yes.
How much was the purchase price?
The purchase price was $2,800 for the boat.
And you went, you looked at the boat?
No.
You didn't see the boat before you paid him $2,800?
I did see the boat when I bought it.
That's all I'm talking about. You went, you saw the boat when you bought it, and you asked to borrow his trailer to get the boat back to either your house or wherever you were going to take it. And you were supposed to return the trailer. That's what this case is about. That's what your complaint is. She has your trailer, the boat trailer. Miss Smithy says you can't have the trailer back because you sold me a bad boat. So I'm not giving you the trailer back. And she has a counterclaim for you selling her a bad boat. So now I have a couple of questions for you. You ready for the questions?
I am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So on September the 15th, after your husband and son-in-law had been working on the boat for 2 months,
yes,
you attempted to launch it.
Yes.
And?
Yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Larry Crowley says Linda Smithies owes for the return of a boat trailer. Linda is countersuing for the fraudulent sale of a boat.
Now, you saw the boat when you bought it, and you asked to borrow his trailer, and you were supposed to return the trailer. And Miss Smithy says you can't have the trailer back because you sold me a bad boat. So I'm not giving you the trailer back. So now I have a couple of questions for you. You ready for the questions?
I am.
You bought the boat on July 23rd.
On or about, yes.
I read your answer. At some point, you brought it to somebody who was going to work on the boat. What is the name of that person?
Pacific Power Boats.
I'd like to see that, what you have. On what date did you bring it to Pacific Power Boats?
11/17.
What?
11/17.
Well, what did you do with the boat between July 23rd and November 17th?
When I bought the boat, Larry had represented that it was...
Don't tell me what he represented. That's not my question to you.
Sorry?
My question to you was, what did you do with the boat between July 23rd and November 17th?
Put it in launch-ready condition.
Buy the boat on 7/23.
Yes.
You borrow his trailer. Where did you take the boat to?
Home.
And did the boat remain in your home?
Yes.
Until when?
Until it was launchable, or we thought it was launchable.
Who worked on the boat?
My husband and my son-in-law.
So between July 23rd and November 17th, July to August, August to September, September to October, so for 4 months, you had people, your husband, your son-in-law, I don't know who else, work on the boat at your house.
Until 9/17.
I
at
thought
which
you
point
said
we
November.
launched the boat.
Listen to me. I thought you said November 17th.
That's when I got that estimate. But that was
I don't care about
that
the
was the second set of work.
Second set of work by whom?
The first set of work was done by my husband and my son-in-law.
Fine. From when to when? Let's try to keep it together.
July 25th to September 15th.
And where did the boat go on September 15th?
We attempted to launch it.
So on September the 15th, after your husband and son-in-law had been working on the boat for 2 months,
yes,
you attempted to launch it.
Yes.
And?
It sunk.
After they worked on it?
Yes.
And then what?
We pulled it out of the water.
And then what?
And Larry had been... Sorry.
Tell me, what did you do with the boat? Now you bought a boat that your husband and
I brought the
son-in-law...
boat into storage.
What storage?
Woodland mini storage.
Until when?
It's still there.
Well, what happened on November 17th?
I got an estimate on fixing the boat.
By a professional?
We didn't have any idea when we launched the boat that the outdrive was destroyed, that was hidden by the trailer. We had no idea that that happened. We were fixing lights and windows and things like that. So,
listen,
yes.
Listen, Miss Smithies, that would not be his problem. That would be your problem.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Launching a boat is a big deal, and if somebody who knows about a boat wants to make a written representation to you that they have checked it out thoroughly, I have no reason not to believe them, and I think I should be able to believe them.
You can't. You want to believe them, that's your business. Then you end up with a boat that sinks.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Larry Crowley says Linda Smithies owes for the return of a boat trailer. Linda is countersuing for the fraudulent sale of a boat.
Well, what happened on November 17th?
I got an estimate on fixing the boat.
By a professional?
We didn't have any idea when we launched the boat that the outdrive was destroyed, the windows and things like that.
Miss Smithies, that would not be his problem. That would be your problem. This wasn't a boat that you had manufactured for you. How old was the boat that you purchased?
30 years.
It's a 30-year-old boat. If I were buying a 30-year-old boat, I would have somebody come out there and look at it before I bought it from a stranger and say, take a look at this boat and tell me whether it's worth $2,800. It's a 30-year-old boat, just like a 30-year-old car. I wouldn't spend $2,800 on a 30-year-old car unless I said, you know what, I want to take the car to my mechanic or have my mechanic come here, give him $200 and let him look at it. That's your problem. You bought a 30-year-old boat and you didn't exercise due diligence.
Yes, I did. I exercised due diligence because Larry represented to me that he is a boat guy. He is standing in a boat yard selling me a boat top. He knows I'm putting my own project boat together.
Don't tell me what he knows. And what I'm telling you is...
He tells me in writing he's not a salesman. He has a friend.
Listen to me carefully. That's called puffing. Unless you have a contract with him that gives you any sort of a warranty, which I will look at if you have, a 30-year-old boat that you buy, just as a 30-year-old car, you buy, and it's buyer beware. Caveat emptor, buyer beware, so that people, I'm taking it to a professional. This is the bill from the professional who gave you an estimate. Or can I borrow your trailer to take it to the professional, let them look it over because it's not my business?
Launching a boat is a big deal. And if somebody who knows about a boat wants to make a written representation to you that they have checked it out thoroughly and it's in good running condition, I have no reason not to believe them, and I think I should be able to believe them.
You can't. Well, but telling you what the law is. You want to believe them, that's your business. Then you end up with a boat that sinks. After your husband and your son-in-law, and I don't know what they do for a living, worked on this boat for 2 months. Who knows what they did to it? Maybe your son-in-law had a bad day. He didn't like his father-in-law, took something and did something to the bottom. Who knows? It's not relevant. You have his property that you refused to return.
That is not true.
It's his trailer is his property.
I have no way to return it.
What do you mean you have no way to return it?
If I put the boat back in the water to try to put it on another trailer, it will sink.
I don't care. That's your problem. That's your problem.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Want justice? Go to JudgeJudy.com. Like us on Facebook.
Property that you refused to return.
That is not true.
It's his trailer is his
I
property.
have no way to return it.
What do you mean you have no way to return it?
If I put the boat back in the water to try to put it on another trailer, it will sink.
I don't care. That's your problem. You borrowed his trailer to take your boat
He told
to
me
your house.
I could have the trailer until the boat was moored.
You have to return the trailer. I'm going to give you an order that she's going to return the trailer. You take it to a marshal and have it executed. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Goodbye. Thank you. Your counterclaim's dismissed, by the way. You have no counterclaim.
Parties are excused. May step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I loaned it to her with the understanding that she would return the boat trailer